Shout out to that time Jaden Smith did reggaeton, and it wasn't that bad actually.
Hmm. Do real eyes realize?
Realize.
I will say
I
the best
try.
thing Jaden Smith ever did was
Hmm.
create an anime called Neo Yokio.
Neo Yokio is so dope.
I do have to say though, on the question of do realize, they do realize. Um, Apparently they don't, because I'm seeing a lot of people on X swallow propaganda
Hmm.
about the protests. I'm seeing everybody just fall for it. Like people people are saying all sorts of shit. All right.
Oh yeah, well, we're
Insert the
getting into it
Garfield
today.
meme.
Um, all right.
Oh, you know what?
Tell me when y'all want to start.
I'm down. Let's pull the fucking, the pin's already out. The grenade
All
is
right.
ready.
And we're going straight into the news, baby.
All
Mm.
right.
All
They
oops, all
really
is
fucking
sort
did
of.
it. Oh, Israel begins gift giving campaign to celebrate. What the fuck, Purim?
Yeah, Param.
Uh, so yeah,
Uh,
there is a like Jewish holiday in the springtime called like
mm,
Purim, and to be honest,
oh,
I don't
okay.
know I don't know a whole lot about it. I just learned that
Hmm.
it existed, and it kind of coincided.
Oh, okay. I'm generally ignorant on religion, so that's like the first time I'm hearing this word. I've been an atheist since I was 8 years old. Someone starts talking about religion, I kind of go take a nap. So,
Sorry, I could only cover the corners of Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam for reasons. Um,
hmm
some Zen Buddhism on occasion.
hmm reasonable.
I'm the resident Buddhist in this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm the resident. I don't know. I don't know what my religion is. Not none, null. I'm the null set. I'm the void.
my religion is private information. I just need to, I love scaring people with the fact that I can
Mhm.
in fact quote both the Bible and Quran, and you just
Reasonable.
have to like live with that knowledge in the context of who I am as a person.
Hmm. It's like an anarcho post-Catholic sovereign citizen.
I've never been Catholic though, which is the funny part. It's just that everyone around me is.
Eh, that's reasonable.
No, it's the colonialism.
I'll get you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, didn't get me. Anyway.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what's your reasoning behind this slide? Is this you talking about Israel bombing Iran?
So yeah, I
Hmm.
created a slide, when, Israel launched the attack on the
Hmm.
Iran's nuclear facilities. And
Yeah.
then yeah, now we got to talk about the development of Iran retaliating and us getting like some very interesting imagery and reactions from the state of Israel. And anybody else wanna take the baton here?
Well, like, so one thing that so obviously, like, I stream and I've been talking about this on stream, and I'm not saying this thing, by the way, before this ever gets like cemented into history and people are like, oh, you said this was really important, if it turns out it's not, but it seems really interesting. I found a document. We can probably put it in the description if people want it. I found a document
Hmm.
from 2009. It's written for Obama. Literally, if you just Control F, it's for Obama, but like obviously, it seems like it's closer that we're following it now. And it's literally a document that's like a 9 chapter document, 170 pages, on a path to Persia, like a path to invading Iran, like to dismantling the Iranian like state, and like a new way to handle Iran. And chapter 4 is literally laying out airstriking their nuclear capabilities, which is what we've seen Israel do. And chapter 5 is America deciding that it's too politically inconvenient for them to strike Iran, because Iran would play the victim if they got attacked by America. So they call chapter 5 in this document, leave it to Bibi, and it's allowing Israel to strike it for them, because Israel doesn't need diplomacy in the region. And this was by the Brookings Institute, which is like a 100-year-old think tank in the United States. So
Yeah.
like, this is like a mainstream, like, large think tank that's like was asked by the United States government to come up with a plan for war with like Iran, and their plan was basically, we want to airstrike known
The,
nuclear options, like known nuclear like the facilities, and it's inconvenient for the United States to do it because Iran would act, because they literally say Iran has not retaliated. We've attacked them multiple times, going back to like 1988. We've sank their warships. We've attacked, and Iran does not retaliate. It just plays the victim. And then like chapter 6 is how to start a velvet revolution, which is a peaceful, like liberal, progressive revolution in Iran to topple the regime after they've attacked them. So literally, like they're planning regime change in Iran, and there's a document for it. So anyway, that's about what I have on the situation. Anybody else?
Celtic, nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever happens until it happens, and then it happens real fast, and then it stops happening, and then everyone goes, "Did that really happen?" And then everyone, finds out that the twin towers were kind of holograms, and the planes didn't exist because we never actually invented flight. All we do is when you get in an airplane, we play a little video on the windows, and then everyone just runs around and like makes it look like Paris, and then they all start saying, "Oui, oui, you're in France now." When you get off the plane, you've just been
Yeah.
lied to.
But yeah, like the reason why, like, it can seem like stuff happens like slowly and then all at once is just because like there are two different factions that seem to be, interplaying here. The one that sets the ducks in the row and one that knocks them all over with, I don't know, a lawnmower or something. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'll leave it at that. So
Yeah.
we want to move on.
Yeah, if you
I
want
need to
to.
state because this is going to become one of those things, right? Where like how everyone's always like, "Oh, you support Palestine, so you support
Hmm.
Hamas," and it's like, yeah, I love disingenuous arguments. We're already starting the whole like, "Oh, so you support the Iranian government and its baby nuke project," and it's like, didn't say that, bud. I cannot believe I have to preface every statement I ever make about anything that is quite obvious. Actually, uh, apparently, nuance when it comes to a thing ever, especially anywhere in a coughing
Hmm.
distance of the uh in my opinion false state of Israel or whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to like asterisk bookmark here signed for the FBI. I swear I'm not a terrorist.
Hmm. I mean, look, I'm not gonna say like nuclear missiles are bad. Nuclear war and all of us dying is bad. I've looked into it. When your flesh gets cooked off and your bones, get baked into a nice gravy, before you have time to die, that's like a negative thing, right? Generally, um,
Mhm.
so like I'm anti-nuclear hellfire. However, if I was a small state and I was able to watch the world's largest military openly and brazenly plan toppling my government in broad daylight, because this is a document I found, like this is still hosted on Brookings website,
Yep.
they've
I
been
recommend
openly
you save.
calling for.
I
Hmm?
recommend you save that document.
I have saved it, don't worry. but like they're openly talking about, they're openly talking about this stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
The reality of the situation is, if I was in that if I was there, if I was in, imagine I'm in a bar, right? Let's just make it human because it's easier with humans. Imagine you're in a bar, you're in the corner, you can't leave, right? You're trapped in this bar, and some guy is he's up there, he's ordering his drink, and he's talking to his friends about how he's going to take this beer bottle and he's going to wrap it around your head. He's planning violence against you in front of you. Are you
Mhm.
violent if you start looking at maybe getting the chair a little closer to yourself, so if he comes at you with a bottle, you could hit him with a chair? Like, are you violent now for responding to literal like everyone's planning your downfall? Like in that regard, I can be sympathetic to the desire for nukes.
Yeah.
The streamer, Hasanabi has a meme, the Hasanabi doctrine he calls it, where like if you are the enemy of America and you don't have nukes, lie. You now have nukes. What's your next
Yep.
job? Get nukes. Why? Because otherwise you're gonna get
You're
You're
gonna
gonna
get
get
nuked.
Iraq. You're
Yeah.
gonna get Iraq. They're gonna come in and kill you. You're all gonna die.
Same thing with the other thing, right?
America killed 2 million people in Iraq. America killed 2 million people in Iraq.
and we're gonna get into this more later, obviously, but it's the ignoring of cause and effect here of like, oh well, why does
Hmm.
the like XYZ radical thing or group or whatever exist? It must be because they're intrinsically evil and barbaric. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
dude, the answer is always like US intervention and colonial rule and whatever. Like if you
Hmm.
put people in dire situations and straits where they do not have other resources, they do not have other options. The global stage is looking at them and saying, I do not care about the well being of you as a society, et cetera, et cetera. Like, yeah, things will start to happen. Um,
Hmm.
uh, Again, we're gonna get more into this concept because it's not it is not unique to this. It's not unique to anything. It is a thing, and it will happen, and it has happened forever and ever. I am going insane.
Hmm.
All right, let's go.
I hope that makes sense, though. I will say, just like, a lot of people do not tend to empathize, and it simply just ask yourself, what would you do if somebody was threatening you? Would you try and defend yourself? Would you try and posture that you could defend yourself? You know?
All right, let's get into it.
We Let's get into it. Yeah, so this is the J cast now. Fuck you.
Yeah, you're just stealing it.
We're
Well,
get
this
we're
well,
gonna jump into this one.
this is a great streamer of Orlo. So immediately
Yeah,
I'm on board with this tweet. I support everything it says.
yeah. God damn it.
For the benefit of anybody listening audio only, it's a picture of Hassan, like, just chilling
Hmm.
in the protest, and Vorlo comments, protested side by side with Hassan Piker today. Bro is farting.
Hmm. This is obviously a reference. This is like a joke, but this is a reference to the fact that if you haven't seen the protest footage coming out of Los Angeles, Austin, um, Anaheim, San Francisco, yeah, pretty much everywhere,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
police have been like putting about two, maybe 2.56 metric shit tons of tear gas into the air every second.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
somebody coughs, they will shoot you with like pepper ball. Like you will be maced with the smallest of noises. It's like,
yeah.
like if your shoes creaks, you might be tackled.
Yeah, and also put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that, cause
Okay,
this is our
okay.
starting point. But I am gonna give some
Hmm.
context
Which is
because I
why we
feel
all
like
got to
it
sit
is
down when we protest.
important to set up a bit of a ground zero.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
and
Like
I
nine
want to
11.
preface this with something
Never
else. So
forget.
I don't look at our YouTube channel. I need to put out there. I don't really look at our comments. I didn't know there were
Hmm.
comments to look at until like 2 days ago. And so this is going to be a really funny episode because the last comment I saw about myself was someone mildly confused that I don't have socials, and most of my slides are going to be from socials I still don't have. Uh,
Hmm.
I
Look,
still don't have them, and they're
it's totally
still they.
reasonable to have only a podcast. Podcast normalize
I
only having.
exist
It's like,
here.
are you on Facebook? Nah, I've podcast.
No, I exist here. No, actually, I'm gonna have to gaslight some people later. I do technically have some, and I do technically have things that exist on the internet. I'm just not dropping them here. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with this. As far as you are all concerned, Jay exists on this podcast, and maybe a GeoCities blog about politics and sexuality at some point in the near future. Okay, that is it.
Nice. I always pronounce it
Uh,
Geocities, by the way. Like not Geocities, but
GeoCities.
like atrocity. Yeah, like Geocity.
Oh, that's dope, actually. GeoCities. Sorry, NeoCities. Fuck it. We ball. Move. Let's go.
Hmm.
Slide.
All right, next one.
Okay.
All right. So, what actually happened here?
Oh
So,
yes.
also don't trust any of these coverages. I just like headlines.
Hmm.
So we need to talk about LA, and we need to talk about LA from the very start because I think that everyone hopped to the ending, which was, oops, there's people in the streets and CNN is freaking out for some reason, and
That's
not
fair.
how we got to this point in the first place.
Before we
So,
get into the heavy topic, can I just point out
mhm,
one thing? I've never seen this before. That journalist on the right of the slide, for anyone who is audio only,
Dan
don't worry, I'll
Mangan.
fill. Yeah, if anyone is audio only, I will fill in the joke. His name is Dan Mangan. Dan Mangan.
Mhm.
It's just the same. I've never seen anybody with
Isn't
like
that
the
isn't there
same
like a
noise.
manga called Dan Mangan?
I've never.
I
I
hate
don't know.
you.
I've
Uh,
never seen anybody with
it
the
was a
same
joke.
noise 3 times in their name. You know what I mean?
I love
It was
Dan
a
to Dan.
Like,
joke based on the anime Dan Da Dan.
I love
oh,
Dan to
Don the
Dan.
Don. Oh, I don't. I haven't watched any anime. I'm annoying. I'm that person who doesn't like anime.
I only watch anime with hot gay people because that's what they're into.
They make
Uh
straight anime.
no. And so Los Angeles, happy Pride Month. I got prep today. So Los
Cash
Angeles
money.
is um over, I believe, 40% non-US born residents. That number is actually definitely higher due to all the reasons. And so when you try to hedge an entire political campaign by starting there, they didn't actually start there. ICE rates have been increasing in number and amount and cruelty since day one. But basically, the administration was mobilizing a very big push. And the thing is, when you set a number very high for a quota of people you want to find, you very quickly, like, quote unquote, run out of criminals. And so we saw here a lot of people put this at the Home Depot specifically. If you're not familiar with this, a lot of big stores like Home Depots, your local Lowe's, et cetera, right? These big department stores where people normally also go for construction, hardware work, manual labor jobs. Undocumented people will sometimes like be in the parking lot or back to get picked up to be taken to job sites to work ad hoc, right? And so they planned this entire operation, broad daylight, middle of the day, roll up to the Home Depot and
Mm-hmm.
start fucking grabbing people. Now,
Well, can
as
I
I
actually add a
said,
like can I add a
mhm,
little bit of context to that? So they didn't just
yes,
pull up to the Home Depots and grab people. They did a little bit more, and the little bit
yes,
more I think also exposes a large part of the weaponization of the process, right? So, for
hmm,
instance, if you're coming to the United States, it's very, very hard to do everything legally, and the United States always says, "Oh, do everything legal, come in legal." Okay, so now, what if I was to tell you? So, because you might have some people who are saying, "Well, yeah, but this don't come illegally." So some of the people who are targeted, and part of the reason I believe that they're targeting blue states is because in the blue states, if you're a migrant, you can still work while you're in the process of
hmm,
getting legal, and you pay taxes, and you have identification, and you have to go
hmm,
to like court dates. Trump has been arresting people when they go to their court dates, aka
yes,
when they are participating in the legal process. He is weaponizing the legal process to have opportunities to grab them. The rest of
right,
them, they use their employment records that they got from the IRS to pick people up at work and drag them out of their places of work where they pay taxes and are legal citizens working as part of, again, the legal process and deport those people. And that is what has completely set off the powder keg
yeah,
because nobody is sympathetic to this. This is not like they like firstly, like a lot of people are out to protest about deporting the so-called illegal, right? No one's illegal on stolen land, but the people are out there to deport the so-called illegal people. But this is deporting legal people who are going through all of the hoops and doing everything you could ask of them. And in fact, you're using the fact they're doing that to find them.
yes.
How did ICE know where they are? Because they tell ICE because they're
Because they tell
participating legally.
us. And and also, so addition to this, it's not like they just rolled up in a couple cars and black bag people. It was a whole operation that blocked
Mm-hmm.
traffic. People got stuck in their cars. People
Military
obviously
vehicles.
started gathering because it was a public, middle of the day, violent affair and
Yeah.
started tear gassing. Like a mother and her child got hit in the face with a tear gas canister on the street
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't leave. They were in their vehicle and had to flee, right? And and I get so upset for obvious reasons, but these aren't like silent covert operations like the way feds like to pretend they are. Like, people obviously are going to get scared and panic and react how people react when you just start kidnapping people in front of them in the middle of their neighborhoods, right? I and we're going to get to this more when we cover the protest itself, but I think it's really important to establish this base ground here of these are people who, at their places of work, who at schools, elementary schools, daycare centers, childcare centers, people going to immigration court, going to their court hearings, having their hearings by the judges in collusion, right? Allegedly, whatever, dismissed and then detained when they walk out the doorstep, when they are by all means going through the legal process we told them to go through, right? These are not systems that happen because the commies in California are trying to secret social security numbers to every undocumented person, right? Like, we have set up this immigration system specifically to incentivize, like, wage slaving hardcore immigrants who we do not give equal opportunity, or at times opportunity at all, to find legal citizenship here, right? And then we have decided to hit quotas that we are going to punish those people, and then get surprised or whatever when what will happen happens, of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, dude, you're attacking my neighbors and children and caretakers and community. Um, I might crash out a little bit.
No,
Uh, and
this
so,
reminds.
yes,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay.
So yeah, this reminds me of the whole paradigm of, like, the worst person just said something you agree with, and
Mm-hmm.
a clip of Joe Rogan has been doing the rounds where it's like him talking about immigration and like protesting and whatever, and he takes a stance of, like, it was very clear that, like, his hard line is like separating the family unit, and so he's like, oh, like, if you see like a mother being separated from her child, and she's like screaming and wailing, from this like place of, like, deep anguish, and your response is, well, she should have followed the law, then his exact words were like, we don't want you on the team.
Yeah, you're
If
not on the
all
team,
you
bro. You're not team
Mm-hmm.
human.
like if you don't recognize that there is something wrong here, and all you want to do is keep like
Mm-hmm.
substituting law as morality, then he's like, yeah, no, do that somewhere else.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Joe said that before Trump got elected this time around.
Ah,
And
Unfortunate.
like, yeah, and so he's actually just moved further right since then. But yeah, that's like an old, like, that's but it's a good quote though. It's like, because he's right. Like,
He's right.
you're gonna destroy families. If you're gonna, like, the most violating thing that every libertarian coded guy, which is what Joe Rogan is, he's a libertarian coded guy. He likes weed. He wants to be left
mm-hmm,
alone. The most violating thing that could ever happen to Joe Rogan, the thing he identifies with, the thing your average American's going to identify with, the thing your average person is going to identify with, is some government sticking itself into your life and splitting up your family. This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of these guys get their brains broken by divorce court, because in their
Mm-hmm.
mind, a
mm-hmm.
judge stuck himself into the family and split it up. Obviously, that's not what happened. But that's how they, emotionally how they feel. And I think they see, when they watch these like immigration like situations happen, and they watch like these families be destroyed in this way, they're like, kids in cages, parents back in Mexico, like, this stuff is there. It's the oppression they think they're experiencing when their like wife finally leaves because they yell at football too much. Um, like, it's the oppression they think they're experiencing actually manifest pretty seriously and pretty like concretely. Like, it's the full worst nightmare they could ever have. It's
Yes.
the government deciding who you get to love. Like, which can weirdly is where like right wing libertarians could probably work their way to understanding gay rights too. But that's like a, you know,
Hmm.
I'm happy you bring that up because and this is why everyone should be scared, and this is why I think I am equally mad at both liberal and conservative coverage of the militarization that happened following this. So as I sort of built up to here, the protests started more so as like a very immediate act of people like of defending themselves, like of self defense, not even in a like going out of their way to be violent, quote unquote, or whatever. Even however we're defining violence in this situation, but uh physically trying to take actions to like move people to safety, to get people out of the streets, to inform people of what's going on, to slow down these armored vehicles that just showed up on people's back doorstep, right? Because again, they are kidnapping people. And so, yeah, folks got very loud in the streets to try to stop and slow this down. And we immediately saw the mobilization of the LAPD. This is something that I don't think will ever be truly tried in court in the way it needs to. And this is similar for the state of New York. When we talk about sanctuary laws, it is not what I think a lot of people assume it is of immigrants get free reign or whatever, right? Undocumented people show up and you hand them a cookie and say, welcome to the American dream. Uh, a lot of it boils down to you're saying that, hey, our state resources, our law enforcement, even our healthcare systems, right, are not obligated to and should not collaborate with immigration. And that's a good thing because it keeps people, A, working, because you do want people working. Fun fucking fact. It's part of why we can collect people's taxes. It's part of why people get access to services that they absolutely need. For example, like
hmm
emergency medical assistance without having to fear deportation. And I know there's some other fucker out there like, well, you shouldn't have come here if you wanted medical care. It's like, oh yeah, like I want you to look at that like fucking 5-year-old child who needs urgent care and say, sorry, I just don't think you deserve to be here, so we can't do anything about it. Anyway, this was escalated. This was started off and immediately escalated by ICE, and then of course immediately LAPD, who does what they do. Uh, Trump did the most insane thing. I think we should always talk about how insane this is. I think we all got way too comfortable with this, way too fast, of sending the California National Guard without fucking caring about Newsom. And they just
hmm
sort of let him. And the federal courts aren't doing a whole lot to take these backsies that. I don't have a
Well,
slide for this part.
unfortunately,
He then also did deploy the Marines. And
yeah.
hey, dude, even if you are like a random ass white man somewhere in middle America and you're looking at this thinking, this has nothing to do with me. Uh,
This is the
I,
most 1984 shit that's ever happened in your lifetime. Of all the things
yeah,
you've posted 1984 memes about on Facebook, of all the times you've been like Hillary saying like whatever she said on SNL, that's 1984. No, no. You have military parades in Main Street and you have Marines rounding up families. That's the thing. Read the book.
read the federal government, the executive branch is
Mm,
overstepping states' rights
yeah.
because they think they should, and they
All
made
all
a
the Gadsden
situation
all the
so
Gadsden
much
flag people.
worse.
This is the treading. You've been saying don't tread on me. You're being tread on.
All you
hmm
fucking 2A
hmm
dudes who are always like, I'm here to protect my peace or da 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 da. This is the situation you shit post about going on
Yeah.
in real time, but because it's happening in lived up Cali or whatever, you
No,
think
no,
it
it's
doesn't
because they're
matter.
cowards. It's because they're cowards. They wanted to rise to the challenge. Like the reality is, if you want to actually like go out and like start like policing your streets and protecting people, now is your chance. And what you're doing is you're hiding at home, polishing your perfectly unused like guns and your perfectly unused plate carriers. Because guess what? Yeah, you're a poser. You just like
Absolutely.
larping about the idea of like when oppression comes, it's actually going to be minorities, and the empire is going to need me to stand up for small bean empire. Like, come on, dog. What were you gonna say,
And
Jody? Sorry.
I will also say that like I am thinking of like, the worst possible routes that this could follow, and like my bar is kind of high because like they've already demonstrated like where the bar is in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Are either of y'all familiar with Philadelphia 1985? I believe Move. Are
Move bombing,
does
right?
that? Yep, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like like even just like a regular like police unit has displayed that they're just willing to just bomb
Mm-hmm.
a neighborhood block in order to end a problem. And so I'm just
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Yeah. Next slide, real quick.
Oh, 1 second before we move on from this too far, right?
Related. It's
I did want
related.
to say, okay, we can move to the next slide then, but I just want to say something real quick. So, a specific issue I do have with we're deploying the National Guard, and that goes against all the rules and all the laws. Something that I hope people are starting to realize. It's something I say on stream all the time. It's basically like a fucking catchphrase at this point. Yeah. It's not that I say this out of a disrespect for the idea of like people's rights. Ain't like that. It's more saying that you never had them. I say laws are vibes. As in, they're just made up. Whether or not laws are going to be enforced is entirely about whether the people with the power to enforce them give a shit. You're seeing it right now with international law. Genocide's happening. Nobody can do anything about it. You're seeing it right now with Donald Trump. He's flagrantly ignoring subpoenas and court orders. Why? Because he can. No, there is no such thing as like the law. It is ultimately it's some stuff that's written down, but whether it's enforced is entirely about your relationship to power. And at the end of the day, for you to go forward and be able to actually have rights, you need the power. And that means power in your community, power your own power. You need to be able to defend yourself. You need to be able to promote your community and its interests. If you do not have actual power, which is going to be coming from getting, owning the means of production. It's going to be coming from having, weapons. It's going to be coming from not having a police force, but having a community. These things, if you don't have that, you can't actually guarantee anything for yourself and your family. Because Trump has shown that he will rip up any law, and the Democrats and Republicans have shown they will let him. And that's the reality. Even now, the media is now starting to carry water. This is not about today's episode, but this is another news thing because the world is happening right now. A assassin has killed 2 Democrats in the
Yeah, I
last
saw.
few
Oh,
days.
yep. What was
I
it?
didn't have
The
time to
assassin.
put it in here.
Mhm. Don't worry, a small window, but the assassin killed 2 Democrats. Now the assassin has been confirmed to be a pro-life advocate, so anti-abortion. They're like they voted for Donald Trump. They're basically a Republican in every way, except on one bipartisan committee. They were appointed as the Republican to that bipartisan committee by Tim Walz. Is the best of my understanding of the situation.
Hmm.
The media is now running with the narrative that this is a Tim Walz appointee and that Tim Walz picked this guy, so actually he's a leftist. And they're now trying to make it look like this was leftist extremism. They're not talking about all of his Republican
Huh?
connections. Yeah. So now a lot of the media is carrying water for the Trump regime. Trump has just had some political assassinations. They've given him a majority in a House he didn't have a majority in prior. He didn't know. So now there's a Republican majority in a House that was previously gridlocked. Yeah, that's very concerning stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
nobody is coming to help you. Nobody's coming to save you. we keep each other safe. You have to save yourself. That's the
Yep.
book on that. Anyway, go
We're gonna get more into that. Thank you for bringing that up.
ahead.
Real quick before we move on, this slide here, you can
Yeah.
see the greatest soldiers in the world or whatever sleeping on the floor. This is just really funny to me. I love the caption, efficiency is when you make the troops homeless before they're veterans. I do want to point out that part of why it's so ridiculous that this happened is it's a logistical nightmare for everyone involved. You
Yep.
have deployed way more people than you need for a peaceful gathering of people,
Hmm.
and people
You also
like
didn't give them
taking
any
constructive
allowances.
action.
You also didn't give
Yeah,
them any allowances for fuel and food and accommodation.
they're running out of
Also,
ammo. Like they're literally running
mhm,
out of ammo right now because they're using all of it indiscriminately and no one is prepared for the situation. The Marines
yep.
aren't, even if a riot was happening, you don't call the Marines. They are not de-escalation trained in that or anyway, really.
I think Trump is
Uh
hoping for is it Penn State where they shot all the protesters?
yeah, Kent.
Kent
Kent
State,
State.
thank you. Kent State. I think he's hoping for his own Kent State. I think he's hoping that. But I don't think he realizes that like America's a different place than it was back then. He's not going to get away with
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
but
it's insane. I mean, the fact
but
that we can
also
even
not
see
only
images of everything.
yeah, but not only are these soldiers now sleeping on the floor, they can't go get hotels with their own money because the hotels are basically not taking in the Marines, the or the ICE agents, because people have been going there and protesting them at 3 o'clock in the morning to wake them
Yep.
up so that the soldiers can't get any sleep.
Yep. Yeah,
Right.
there's a lovely
Um,
video of someone playing a trumpet outside their
mhm.
sleeping quarters until like 3 a.m., and that person is based.
It's like, oh yeah, but there's lots of them. And there was a comment someone found of a mayor during the BLM protests saying that we can handle one protest of 10,000 people, we can't handle 10 protests of 1,000 people. And effectively, that's now the new strategy. So whenever the cops have been moving in on the protests, I've been watching them because they've been getting documented in real time on social media, which we'll come to later.
Yep.
Well, people have been splitting into smaller groups instead of trying to find strength in a big number and then getting kettled and corralled. They have been splitting into 100 pieces, going to the winds and forcing the cops to reposition.
Yes. I'm actually gonna get also into not that specifically,
Mhm.
but the different forms of protest, right? So,
Mhm.
next slide, please, before we head to that.
Okay.
I fucking hate every news outlet right now. Um, with a passion that I've always had to some degree, but I feel
Okay.
as if I've been actively gaslit this week.
Mhm. Okay,
We
I need to
had
give a caveat. I need to give a caveat to the images that are on screen. I need to like explain these to the
oh,
audience. For
I was
anybody
about
who's
to
audio
explain them. Go
only.
for it.
Okay, well basically, so one of them is at CNN, reporter lying. The report showing LAPD spent munitions and claims protesters are shooting them at the police. Uh this video she goes into like say like no they throw them and they pop and she doesn't even have her like
Yeah, like
lines
they
prepared
throw them
of
at
the
the
lie.
ground or
It's
whatever.
complete bollocks. No, these are rubber munitions shot by the police. This is just CNN in real time lying. And the next one is whoa, hats off to ABC reporter Matt Gutman. Matt is apparently a conservative, and Matt is basically there. A cop is lying, saying, "Oh, you've touched the police officer. You're harassing the police," and is in his face, yelling and like cussing him out like he's being a piece of shit. The cop is fucking like on edge, and Matt's like, "I thank you for your service." Like washing his reputation in real time to be like officer, just so you know, like you're on live television as the cop is lying on he's lying on live television, and Matt's
Mm,
concern is you're making us look bad because he's on the same side as the police. Well,
yes.
he is. Here's the thing: journalists historically are not. Journalists are not friends of the state. Real journalists do not run cover for police. Real journalists are generally fucking brutalized and you know so you can always tell who's a real journalist by the state's opinion of them. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe not necessarily right
Well,
now because we have that third
are we
image.
gonna make the
Well,
CIA award for excellence in journalism joke?
what Gary
Oh,
Webb? Gary Webb, for those who don't know, tragically died after committing suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head twice. That's the official finding of the coroner's report. If you think it's weird that a man shot himself in the back of the head twice, a gun behind his left ear, bullet out of his right cheek, that's how he apparently shot himself. If you think that's weird, well, Gary Webb, just for you know, was the guy who found out that the CIA was selling crack and wrote a book about it.
I can't wait to
But
see
anyway,
what list we all end up on after this one drops. So
I'm on every list already, I think. But the last one, LAPD shoots news reporter. This is an Australian news reporter who's also a conservative. Australian news is wild. Um, and yeah, a cop basically just turns and aims directly at her right leg and boom, just beams her in the leg. And yeah, there's no defense for it. People have come out to say that she was caught in the crossfire. Crossfire would
not just
imply the
people,
protesters
her
were shooting.
news network did. I even
Mm-hmm.
fact check. Went to my Aussies to ask them to keep an eye on their local coverage of this incident, and
Mm-hmm.
the response I got was basically all the headlines kept saying crossfire, and the network she reports for and herself denied any intentionality, which is insane to me. Like, homegirl, like, it happened live on camera. We all saw the same video in real time, and people are looking at it, looking at the screenshots of the person who shot her intentionally turn around, look at her opposite the direction of everyone else, get ready, prepare, aim, and then shoot, right? And still, I look like the insane person by going, "Hey, that was on purpose."
Mm-hmm.
uh
Oh.
and so the purpose of this is we need to establish here that a lot of folks who have an internet connection and a little free time on the timeline have realized that a lot of the mainstream news coverage of this
Mm-hmm.
has been overtly lying, like not even just genuinely
Traditional media is
disingenuous.
traditional media is failing as it has been for a long time. And the gatekeepers, basically like in capitalism, where you have to have money to start a news network or whatever, and then you then by having money have biases and vested interest, and you have all of these complications. You then basically also have a huge issue of being in remotely trustworthy. They are now all starting to just completely fail. Like this is not related to the protests, but it's just a great example of like a problem. Media Matters found a whole block of people who've been featured on Fox News talking about various issues like ending public schools and making charter schools instead. They refer to all these people as like concerned parents, active citizens, so on. Yeah. Um, most of them were Republican strategists professionally. That's what they do. They check their LinkedIn. That's what they do. People like Keisha King. Keisha King runs the mass exodus movement. She was on Fox News. They never said she ran the mass exodus movement. They said that she was a concerned parent who was fighting against critical race theory at the time. I remember back in that discourse. But the point is, the media has been massaging the narratives and has been
Hello.
manufacturing the desire and the consent for Trump and his role for a hot minute. It's worse in some parts than other parts. There's a book by Benkler and a few other people. I can't remember all the authors' names, but it's called
Am I missing something?
Network Propaganda, and it's literally a study in how certain media diets are different, talking about how often different media outlets fact check each other and write pieces calling out like, "Oh, Rolling Stone's got this wrong." How often does that happen? It doesn't happen enough anywhere, but it happens basically not at all on conservative. So the more right wing you're watching, it's very rare for like Fox News to write a piece calling out OAN, for instance.
Right.
Um, they don't fact check each other. There's like there's not really whatever story resonates with Republicans. They just keep running that morning, noon, and night.
Mm-hmm. uh
Um,
you're so right.
mhm.
Yep.
I was just gonna say sorry. So the point I'm making is that like with that void in traditional media, we are starting to see, and I think we're coming to it in a bit. but we are starting to see a huge swell now of people looking for alternatives, of people looking for grassroots, and people looking for like real time. No, the no agenda now is like, can I find a person
Oh no, we lost
on the
Jelly.
ground? We lost Jelly. Oh no,
Ah,
internet
fuck.
cut out. I guess we just keep our thing running and we can we can stitch it back. We record these
Secret
podcasts
lost
live, damn it.
episode.
It's a chaotic episode. Don't worry, it'll be good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
No,
they're back.
we're back.
Hello?
Hey, Jelly.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. Hopefully I didn't lose anything else. I'm still recording.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just now
Okay,
just
so
have like a 1
we
minute
See the
might have to do
block
some
screen
where it's
editing
back?
to
not there.
fix that there, but I'll try and finish the talk. 'Cause I remember where I was, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of people are now looking for alternative media. They're now looking for like grassroots. Now that obviously opens up a huge issue for them. They could probably find some like misinformation brokers, like like Alex Jones, but modern, contemporary Alex Joneses. But a lot of people seem to be looking for, can I find live footage? Can I find on the ground? Can I find shit like as it's being reported? Like no commentary. Here's protest footage, and that stuff is telling a story because the cops look fucking terrible. You know.
Hmm.
I was waiting on the slides to come back up whenever you're ready.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So now that we've benchmarked that, okay, this started as a massive act of self defense in reaction to a military regime impeding on the country against its own citizens. And then the media
Mm-hmm.
deciding that we will call everyone the most violent anarchist possible or whatever, and falsifying the events at the time. And people obviously being like, well, I exist on social media, I get to be that
Mm-hmm.
friend who's too woke, and
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
we're about to do some on the Esotechnica, social
Mm-hmm.
media archivistry, and an
Mm-hmm.
archaeological research from a guy who is notably not on socials.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to give some context to myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I am, in fact, a leftist, card carrying one, in fact, and unfortunately have an extended history of community organizing and activist social justice work,
Mm-hmm.
etc., as in like physically people doing physically things, and
Yeah.
I have been particularly brain rotted by other leftists, and I need to say this. I need to say this because I am doing the thing that this slide is saying, right? Okay. Situation. There's 14 competing leftist groups. We need to develop one universal leftist group that covers everyone. And we now have 15 competing leftist groups. There is no version of
Mm-hmm.
this conversation where I get to be as hypercritical as I am of liberals and other leftists online, where I don't do the thing I say not to do. So we just got to put
Well,
that out there.
I think a big issue that I have a very on this particular slide. I have a very like this is like core to like what I do on stream. I don't like leftist infighting. Right? I don't like arguing with other leftists. If I call out another leftist or another leftist calls me out, I always want to be like respectful, rooted in like rooted in like some like principled reason and maybe something we can discuss. Because I kind of think about this, like, look, people say you can't really debate a Nazi because like ultimately they're Nazis, and you can't really be in a Congress with Nazis. You can't sit with Nazis. Yeah, leftists need to be people you can sit with, even if you don't
Yes.
agree with them, even if you have different opinions on certain things. You need to be able to go, okay, but who are the people I'm willing to disagree with? Because you don't disagree with Nazis, you fight them. I'm asking who are you willing to, like, if we had a leftist government, who could you be in Congress with? Who could your colleagues be? And I think that's like a way we need to start thinking about it. It's okay if you don't agree, but you need to start respecting that they have like empathy, humanity, strategy, and theory of their own, and they're people you can work with on certain things. Like you
Yeah.
might say, "Oh, how can an anarchist and a communist get together?" They can both do mutual aid. But what about the future end state? What the end state in like what 150 years when there's a communist revolution or something? Hey, why are you choosing to have a hypothetical argument about something that's going to happen after your death instead of doing mutual aid? Sounds like you're arguing to get away with not doing anything.
Mm,
Sorry.
yeah, related. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Uh, I love
Okay, this was okay. This
Natalie.
okay. I seen this. I okay. I seen this. I was immediately like, my name's Paul. This is between y'all because I'm like, this hit me with 5D. Like, okay, I'm gonna read this for anyone who's audio only because,
This
but
is
this
an
hit me with
amazing image.
5D mic. This hit me with 5D microwave cringe. Like my bowels cooked. So the one is Natalie Wynn ContraPoint saying, it sickens me to hear Spanish spoken on the streets of Los Angeles, San Diego, Palo Alto, San Francisco, Santa Ana, San Jose, Santa Barbara, San Bernardino, El Quirito, La Merida, and San Luis Obispo. I don't know how to say that one.
Obispo, the bishop.
Obispo. Okay. And then Socialist Voice comes in and says, does it also sicken you that the names of those places in Los Angeles are also Spanish, you absolute right wing ghoul? Now look, I
Now,
have
the
I
fact that
have
Uh,
they're
my
saying this
issues
to
with I have my
ContraPoints.
issues with Natalie. I'm one of those people who's always kind of like, I wish you didn't speak to Hillary Clinton. Look, that's my, look, that's where I'll finger wagging me too woke. I'm like, why did you speak to Hillary? Hillary's a war criminal. But outside of that, like, uh,
yeah, so
you
this
know,
is sort of more what I mean. It's sort of the complete lack of basic human literacy. I'm not going to say media
yeah,
literacy. I think we use that word too much. It is this profound inability to engage
hmm
with text and things happening in your eyeballs
yeah,
in a meaningful or constructive way. Normally, this is just a bit haha funny, but in the
yeah,
context of a lot of people are going to social media to get, their hot
yeah.
takes, to digest their info, to figure out things and form opinions, and
Mhm.
have like an implicit distrust of the mainstream news. We also gotta like, shift through the shit box, as it were.
Look, I said it during when Trump was shot at. I said it during the election when Kamala lost. I um like I've been saying it. You don't have to post true things, right? You don't have to post true it. If something really big's going on, you do not have to grab your phone and engage with every tweet if you cannot remain somewhat emotionally sober.
Oh,
If you
Oh yeah.
catch yourself this tone deaf and like I don't think Socialist Voice should like delete their account or anything like that. I'm not like, I think ultimately when you see yourself do something like this, you go, you know what? I was just really angry. I was defensive. I'm out here trying to defend Spanish people and like Mexican people. Like I'm out here trying to like be an ally. This is I'm missing it, but I'm gonna step away and cool down. I think the best thing you can do here is just be like, yeah, you know what, own up to it. This is kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to cool down and come back when I'm composed. You've lost your composure is basically what I'm saying, and you don't have to post through it if you've lost your composure. It's okay to get rattled by World War Three, mass mobilization of like deportation forces, like armed thugs in the street, people marching and waving swastikas. Like, things are bad. It's okay to be upset sometimes,
It's okay.
but
It's okay to be
but
upset.
mature,
you
recalibrate.
know, because of your accent, I originally thought when you first started this line of thought, you don't have
hmm
to post true things, which is like you don't have to post the things that are true. I was
Oh,
like, yeah,
correct. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
true
can
too.
just lie on the internet, and I think I will.
Oh,
I will. I mean, that's
yeah.
just Baudrillard. That's just Baudrillard at that point. I've been following that. I actually been talking about this on stream, but like we kind of like there's this argument of why are we doing philosophy in the regards of what's the most logical and the most rational. Why aren't we doing the philosophy of what's the most interesting?
Oh
And
god.
Baudrillard just daring us to just be fascinating little weirdos. Which I'm like, that's an interesting line of things that that's another Pandora's box we could open, you know?
Jesus. It's one of this is a situation where again uh, sorry, my brain broke for a second. This is a good example of again sort of what I'm getting at in general here of like, okay, even uh, let's have a hypothetical here where Natalie was being like mask off right wing ghoul, etc., and getting mad that like Spanish exists and places. Who is this reply helping? Like, who's this helping? Right? Who are we saving? What ice rates have we prevented with this? What momentum have we procured? Uh, this is not me saying you should only post in that way, though, because the following posts are going to get into the second part of my insanity, which is liberals uh, and the people who don't realize they're doing lib takes, saying some of the weirdest pseudo informed or completely non informed takes I've ever seen. Next slide, please.
Let's go.
Can we stop fucking talking about the flags? Can we stop talking about the flags? I don't care about the flags. No one cares about the
Mhm.
flags. I
I
don't
mean,
care. I
I've actually taken the opposite approach. So I from in my Twitch chat, I've made a free emote specifically of like, actually, it's the Mexican flag because like, actually, if it's bothering people to see the Mexican flag, we should do it more.
exactly. That's
Like,
the
it's
core
working.
of my frustration. Uh,
Hmm.
that I will get to in the thing you sent me
Yeah.
earlier. And I talked about in chat. So and then also we have okay, so we have we fly the American flag in America,
Hmm.
says the man who has the Israeli flag outside his office door.
I do think that's a good own. I do think that's a good own
Oh,
to
great
point out. Like,
own.
if it's somehow a crime to fly the Mexican flag because this is America, sweetie. Okay, then I want Jim Jordan deported to Israel.
Exactly.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I will
now,
say,
as soon as possible, while things are going on. Put him in Tel Aviv right now.
Do it.
like these past few days, like Twitter community notes have actually been doing numbers. like they've
Mhm.
been
Yeah.
they've been rocking people's shit.
Yeah, there's a thing. What was it? There's like a Twitter account that's like people get embodied by community notes or something like that, and it's literally just a collection. It's the graveyard of everyone who's just like I don't know if you've ever there's a famous one. Sorry, there's a complete aside, but it's a fun tangent. There's a guy who at one point was doing the the flexer thing where you rent a plane and or something, and you pretend like you rent like a set that looks like a plane, and you pretend you're on your
Hmm.
private plane with your staff, but it's like literally it's a set for Instagram people to pretend they have money.
Yes.
Hmm.
So he was doing that, and he got community noted, and they were like, "This is actually a set. It's a famous one. It's been used by this creator and this creator and this creator. It costs about $50 an hour." um,
Hmm.
and then like he's in his car, and he's like, "Okay, all y'all hating on me for my private jet, well here I am in my
The car is
Maserati. What have you got to
the
say?"
car
Then
is
someone's
still
like,
on the dealership floor.
"No, he wasn't in a Maserati. He was in a fucking Fiat."
Mm.
They were able to tell by the headrests, and the community noted them saying those aren't Maserati headrests. That's actually a Fiat. And then like, and it went on and on. He's like, these are my like $500 Balenciaga glasses. Like, no, those are fake. You can get them off of Alibaba for like $10. And it literally just, and he just kept like retweeting the post that got community noted, trying to like outflex the community notes, and they just kept in real time bodying him. He kept it up for like
So
2 weeks, just getting madder and madder, trying to prove he's actually rich. It's
I
very
love
funny.
fake flexing wealth I don't have for people who don't care. Speaking of
Hmm.
flexing things to people who don't care, uh, the immediate stupid as hell tone policing of these events astounds
Hmm.
me. I'm gonna get into
Yeah.
No King specifically in a sec, but there is a thorough line between the whole like, oh well, maybe if they flew the American flag instead of the Mexican flag or another country's flag, right? You hear it from conservatives doing like a weird faux patriotism, but you also hear it from liberals
Hmm.
who, or even some leftists I've heard say this, and it's crazy, being like, no, they'll see the American flag next to the the chaos and destruction and police violence and then we also have this lovely post here. Apparently, the London No Kings rally was renamed the No Tyrants because the United Kingdom is not a country, but a punchline. LOL. But we're gonna get into the weeds here of the form of protesting I described at the beginning, right? Of like this is direct action, this is direct response. There's very tangible goals and losses here, and wins to be had. People, it did help. In fact, like there were people who would have gotten detained that day in mass numbers who didn't. Right, and that is a huge success, and that's part why they're still out on the streets as of this current recording. Now, some bitches don't realize that people be protesting not just so they can like get a mimosa afterwards. I
Mm-hmm.
I need to
Mm,
say that part. Uh, eh, I've started shorthanding it to optics protests, which I'm not even saying are bad. I need to say that before I get too
They're
deep.
just limited. They're a very
They are
specific thing.
limited. I do think they absolutely have their role in the current state of things. You do need a very big body of people who can be on CNN in front of the TV, and you know,
Hmm.
so people can like smile and wave and hold signs,
Like,
right? I have
like I
criticisms,
had a,
sure, but
I
I
had a
think that
clip
we
on
need
my
to like,
Twitch.
mm-hmm,
I had a clip on my Twitch, and I asked, would it be a good protest if we built a nice little room in a basement somewhere, like 50 floors down, and it has no windows, it's completely soundproof, completely insulated, so nobody who doesn't want to experience the protest will hear it or be aware of it. They have to go down to the basement to find out, and we can let people go down there and march around till they get tired and go home. Is that a good protest? Because that's the least invasive protest.
right.
Is that the goal? No, that sounds like a dog shit protest. That's just you getting angry and then the government giving you a way to get tired.
Next
Like,
slide, please. Related.
they have to be intrusive. I'm good.
and you know, if it ever gets too transgressive, like you know, whatever air tube you have, you know, going up to the surface, you can just drop a little tear gas canister down there.
Mm-hmm. Soylent Green is protesters.
So mass protest is not the right way to oppose fascism. The right way to oppose fascism is to shake your head and say no thank you whenever a fascist offers you some fascism. Uh,
This is a
yeah,
Remember,
joke, by
kids,
the
you can
way.
always just say no.
you just say
This one's a joke, by the
no.
way.
This is a
100%.
joke. This
This
is a joke.
this for anybody who got mad at the I can't believe they speak Spanish in Los Angeles thing.
Oh God.
This
Uh,
one is also satire.
yeah. Again, I have to do this whole preface of being like, I don't support violence. Da 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 da. Whatever. Um,
Hmm.
or they'll come for
I
me.
recognize the historical utility. Okay, look, I'll be the person that does it. I'm in a different country. I'm Irish. My country was liberated by political violence. Is political violence good? No, it absolutely isn't. Here's the thing: all violence is bad. Violence is happening already. The British state was doing violence. People don't really want to talk about that. But Irish people were being brutalized, starved, murdered by the British state for years. The violence came as a response to that. Is that violence good? No. But is it liberatory and is liberation good? Yes. You need to recognize that sometimes the means by which we achieve liberation are going to be violent because laws aren't real. The Irish took the British to court and fought them time and time and time again, and they tried to do it legally. The Irish were occupied for 700 years, and when they finally thought, okay, we got home rule, we have our own government, we've actually made some progress, David Lloyd George lied to them and actually carved out the North, and the North had been militarizing a militia of right wing fascists who were doing anti Catholic pogroms. The point of the matter is, even when they thought, okay, we finally took them to court though, like we got office and we got into government and then we won representation. Nope, they still pulled the rug out from underneath us, gave the power to the ruling class, and then we're setting about to prepare to kill us. That's why the Irish eventually went, nah, you know what? Once they got that notice, the next election, Sinn Féin win. 1 month later, they declare war on the British. Revolutionary War happens. Look, war bad, violence bad, but you have to view the context. Otherwise, you are a useful idiot. You
Yes.
are a useful idiot. You're like, oh, I just don't think we should. Well, then you don't think fascism should go away. You don't think imperialism should end. You do not want liberation. You don't like rights. You want to ask people really nicely and then have a privileged position in society where, yeah, maybe people call you slurs every now and again, but mostly you're getting your avocado toast and you're getting your mimosas. I'm sorry, you're being the thing. You're being the thing Fox News bullies you for.
Yeah, and we're seeing this play out. in a directly harmful way. I mean harmful like bodily, right? People are giving really bad protest
Mm-hmm.
information that is going, we're going to get to the post. Give me a second
Like,
though.
this is
That
no protest. This is amateur test.
right, and this basically, you see this with a lot of things, and it's so weird when it happens with white people. Uh, the big bad is throwing these accusations at you that you understand to be false, and the way you want to deal with it is by doing as much in the opposite direction as physically possible, right? So it's like, okay, Fox News is saying we're all violent rioters. We know this is not a violent riotful thing, and that it is being actively escalated by the police. So we're going to like do the weirdest shit possible to like quote unquote prove how good of protesters we are and not like those violent ones, right? By like shutting down discourse and conversations and giving these insane hot takes about what flag you should raise or why Waymos have souls. Uh, it, and why like
Are you not respecting the lives of Waymo's Americans?
God damn it. It's turning into this thing that black people do this to each other a lot, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
uh oh, you got like targeted by an officer or whatever. It's like, oh well, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have acted like that, you should have said that, you should have actually gotten down on your
Yeah.
hands immediately and begged for mercy with your like
Yeah.
right. And it's, I understand that people are trying to fight back in the ways that are they've been trained to do so, right? Of capitulating to authority to prove your goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to
You're
realize
victim
they're
blaming.
not making those accusations because they care about facts or reality or believe them to be deeply true. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
debate out of someone who has decided that any form of protest against a militia is violence. They will call what
Mm-hmm.
you are doing violence also, right? You can
Yeah.
wave the American flag as much as they ask you to. They will find an excuse to also make that a bad thing. There's no
Yeah.
winning. The argument is a way to degrade you.
You
It is
can't.
not them creating logical reasons to back up the hatred they already have for what you represent.
Yeah. If you're being abused, like I mean, this in the context of a relationship. Oh,
We
Jelly
lost
dropped
Jelly
off.
again.
God damn.
Yo, I
But
think
if
it's the
I'll fi-
FBI.
I think it's just probably a bad night for Jelly's internet.
Oh God.
I was gonna say if you're being abused, we gotta remember that.
I
Uh,
know exactly where you're going
mhm.
with that. By the way, I'm gonna hold that pin for you as well.
Yeah. Oh, Jelly's back. Okay.
Jelly's
Hey,
back.
Jelly.
Ah, sorry,
Can we
it
get the?
happened again.
That's okay. Can we get the slide back up? I just want to
Yep.
do my next line. All right. So, if you're being abused, there's nothing you can do to appease your abuser and buy yourself peace. There's nothing you can do. It's not, this is victim blaming. This is what we mean by this. You're saying, oh, a person who's looking to abuse you, a person who's looking to beat you, they're looking for the fight, they're looking for the argument. That's in a relationship. If you have a teacher or a boss who is harassing you and always looking to fuck with you, there's nothing you can do to fix that. It's not your behavior. They need to be stopped. That is a person abusing their power. When police are out there and they've been given like, oh, we need you to arrest 3,000 people, whether they did anything or not, you got to get them. We need you to go out and like if the crowd's getting in the way, like here's armed response. We have like tanks in the street ready to like fucking mow people down. They are not they're not responding to you with violence because you did something wrong. They're put there to respond with violence. When people tell you like, "Oh no, you have to do it differently. You have to behave. You have to be a little bit nicer." Did your signs contain any mean words? You're basically drawing an ever increasing. You're basically saying until we're down in that basement that we already agreed earlier is a joke. It's silly, but until we're down in that basement, we're just too visible. We're too loud. We're too boisterous. No, the protest is not the problem. I'm gonna go to Macklemore, who I recently learned is actually Irish. I'm gonna go to Macklemore. The problem isn't the protest; it's what they're protesting.
Yeah.
You have turned your critical lens in the wrong direction. As soon as you spend your time being like, I just think the protest, nah. And I have notes. I've been mad at protests before. I've given the protesters, like, there was a protest here in Ireland one time. I was coming on from work, so I wasn't in it. Yeah, and I got stuck in traffic. Why? Because they protested in a working class area, the government, and I literally was like, "Do you fuckers think the government is here? Like renting the cheapest apartments in town? You think they're on public transport? Like, 'cause you're blocking the bus route? Like, I can tell you where they live, and we can go to government buildings where they work, and we can have a real protest if you want, and I'll be there with you for that. What the fuck are you doing fucking up my neighborhood?
God, and I'm
You,
gonna call this
mhm.
out by name, and people, and again, I'm gonna be that friend
Yeah.
that's too woke, but this is really important. I don't have a distinct slide for this particularly. It's gonna lead into the next one. So 501501, I think. No, 50501. Fucking hate
Mm-hmm.
those guys.
I call
TBH
50-51. That's what I was saying.
5051. Fucking hate those weirdos. I gotta be real about it. And I'm gonna hold two truths at the same time. This is gonna be a practice for all of us. Okay, meditate on it.
Uh-huh.
I do not like that organization, and I am appalled by a lot of the actions of that organization, especially on that day and the way they went about organizing this protest. There were a lot of very big red flags that they could get away with because of their size and their media coverage and how quickly they were able to put it together. I do not have animosity necessarily towards people who went in general. I think a lot of people went did so because that was most accessible to them, and that is a good
Mm-hmm.
starting place for a lot of people to get more involved other ways. And I do not think it is helpful at this point in time to like bully randos who went because that's the thing they know how to do right now, and that's actually a great opportunity to lead them into like actual leftist organizations. And again,
Mm-hmm.
having a protest for optics has its place in the revolution or whatever, but we can't keep fucking acting like it's the only valid kind, which is what they do. Especially because A, they're backed by the Walmart family. B,
Mm-hmm.
they do and did call cops on other protests.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
So
and
this
by
is
the
where my
way,
version. Well, this is where my version of the left. So when I say the left, and I say I want a big church and I want to work with the leftists, I want leftists I can agree with. I'm very specific. I want leftists I can disagree with. Sorry, right? I want people I can fight with and have a debate with, like, and respect their opinion. Yeah. I don't respect liberals. I don't respect
I don't respect
capitalists.
liberals.
I don't. I barely respect like sock dems. Like, maybe on a few things I'll listen. Like, I keep an eye on you. I'm like, yeah, y'all hang Rosa Luxemburg. You know what I mean? Like, so
Uh,
I'm kind of like, like, you have to be pretty. Like, I mean, actual leftist. Leftism starts for me with, like, you got to be kind of anti-imperialist. You got to be like anti-capitalist. Like, I need basic tenets of, like, like, do you want humans to be free,
right.
or do you have a different form of oppression in mind? Like, that's just a little sweeter. I'm
No,
not looking
yeah.
for sugar on the baton. I'm looking for freedom.
And also like this is like the weird paradox of things, sort of like part of why they were able to mobilize as quickly in the ways they did is they work with the feds. Like, they do work with cops, they do get permits for their
Yeah.
protests. That's why like you will never see one of their protests being like actionably destructive or blocking things, etc., because they
Yeah.
work with the cops and have called law enforcement on people. They are also like low key,
I
high
think the
key
cops are on our
Zionist as
side.
fuck.
Yeah.
They do
They're
not.
also pro like Taiwan, and like critical of every like leftist project
Yeah, they're
outside,
like critical of
and
every
like,
leftist project. They tend to overwhelm any coverage of other smaller grassroots protests and the organizations
mm-hmm,
that run them. And we're in this situation where we need to balance the big ones that you can bring your wine mom who watches to pod save to, and the people who are becoming body shields to make sure like children can
mm-hmm.
escape military authority, right? and so that's again me being like, the people who showed up I can have mixed opinions on, but I'm still happy people showed up and that many people did. I'm going to take that as a win. I need something, but I do not allow that to erode my genuine disdain for the organization that hosted it. Also, talk about technology, because this is technically a tech podcast still.
Mm-hmm.
They used mobilize.com to have. Okay, this is. I'm going to be accurate. You were not
Mm-hmm.
required to register online to show up. That was not a requirement of the thing. But there were online registrations to sign up that asked for your full information, your fucking government.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, don't do those. If your protest
Oh,
has a sign up link, don't fucking use it. I
yeah. Also,
cannot
like
believe I have
in
to say
general,
that.
You're getting
also,
honeypotted.
yeah. Also, to be fair, be skeptical of a lot of things that get really popular on Reddit real quick. I'm not gonna go down the whole thing because it's like a whole
The
thing, but
psyop division.
uh, basically, yeah. So without going into it, at one point Reddit did publish. You can still find it. It's on the Wayback Machine. Reddit did publish a. Oh, what countries and what cities are big Reddit fans? And they listed their top cities, and some of the cities on that list, the top 10, were like all the ones you'd expect. And they had this like highlighted like Reddit's biggest traffic source, like oh this city loves us, and it's a military base.
Yep.
And then they took down the post.
Yep.
It was a U.S. military base. U.S. military base. And so
Hmm.
then other people like creator Flash Simulator has highlighted that like when Reddit had when the U.S. military had like an outage in their internet coverage for a bunch of their bases, the traffic completely changed on Reddit and the conversations completely changed for a few hours, and that was really interesting. So Reddit does literally get like psyop the manufactured because it takes seconds to make an account. It takes days to get it up to looking like a real account, and then it allows you to manipulate like discourse in real time very quickly.
Yeah.
It's kind of low key built for it, which is why like Reddit used to have a big track record of explaining they don't work with the feds, but that doesn't mean they're not susceptible to the feds.
Exactly. Right? You need to be careful about your information. You need to be careful about everyone needs to be careful about everything all the time. Like, I need to be more careful than I am about things, and I'm someone who doesn't have like a huge internet presence or barely one at all currently, right? But as an org who
Hmm.
is hosting this, you should know better. And you
Yeah.
do know better. I know someone within you does, for you to at least be cosplaying the level of leftism you try to cosplay at times, right? Like, this is so frustrating because, again, it's also hard to bring up the thing without people taking that as a reason to not do anything at all, to go to none of the protests, right?
No,
To
no, yeah, you should go. Here's the thing: you should go to protest. You should wear a mask. Wear the mask the entire time, if you can. This is like a fun little modern thing. If you know that there's going to be like drones and shit, you can actually get like nice, nifty little like fucking adversarial patterns, which is nice to print out, and like you can just put them on like on like the top of your helmet or whatever.
yeah,
And if a drone looks at you, it turns off their face recognition for a minute. That like stuff like that's cool. Look into that. But like the point I'm saying is like, go wear a mask, cover your face, wear some thick clothing because you're gonna get shot at a little bit, but like you'll survive. Um, find some people that you trust, go with them, hang out with them, build a little bit of community. But yes, don't get identified. Leave your phone at home. If you have to bring it for some reason, look into a Faraday bag. It's basically a little foil lined bag that you put your phone in it. Just no signals can get in or out. That's what a Faraday cage is. You're basically just putting a Faraday cage in your pocket. So that way your phone is like you still have it on you. So if you need it later, have an exit route planned. If shit goes down, always know how you're going to get out of a place. Know what your route is. Have a rendezvous spot at some point. So like if you need to group with people to go back home, you know where you're planning on meeting people. Just be like
yeah.
it's reasonable. You can go out and you can have a fun time. You can have a safe time,
Whole
and you can
whole
like take a stand. But like ultimately, This libdash shit is not working. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, no. Next slide. Hold on to that. We're gonna do some counter misinformation here. This made me crash the fuck
Mm.
out so hard.
All right. You
We
got to
have
read the
talked
one on the
about
right
this, but
first,
we
because the
really
one on
got
the
to do
left is
it.
the one I made.
Thank you so much for your contribution to culture. Uh, Again, the heights and both evils of social media. You can learn good protest etiquette online. You can also learn the most horrendous, physically harmful to your body and life advice I have ever seen. We're gonna step by step this. I'm gonna read it down, okay, and then we're gonna do a little dissection here. As someone who may or may not have allegedly done things in person, perhaps. Uh,
No, you didn't.
no, I actually didn't. And so let's go. Let's do some. Again, this is one of those things of like I'm going to try to both cosplay revolutionary while trying to make myself as appeasing and palatable as physically possible, even if it's to my own and others' detriment. Right. Protect the peaceful protest. The sit down wave. What to do if violence breaks out at a protest. Step 1. Sit down together. Lower yourself to the ground immediately. Stay where you are. Step 2. Silence is power. Stop chanting. Put down signs and remain silent. 3.
Hold
Spread the
on. Does
signal.
does that include a prohibition on saying namaste to the cops?
Yeah, obviously. Gesture quietly tell
Oh,
others to sit. Let the action ripple through the crowd like a wave. Step 4, do not engage. Don't argue, confront, or respond to aggression. Discipline speaks for itself. Let them be theory, I guess. 5, make peace visible. A calm, seated crowd is a powerful image to the world and the cameras to see. Non-violence is powerful, strategic, and united. Hashtag sit down wait. Hashtag peaceful process. Hashtag nonviolent power. Hashtag Gandhi.
Okay, look, I gotta be honest. In my opinion, this is where I'm at. Yeah, I'm not saying nonviolence is junk. My stance is it's only good in a context in which somebody can defend the nonviolence and somebody can bring the people to the table to negotiate with the nonviolence. This is the friendly, front-facing side. Like, so, for instance, the political movements that flanked the IRA in Ireland. The IRA brought the people to the table because they wanted to make peace with those movements in the hope of getting the IRA to stop. The Good Friday Agreement, the thing that eventually got the IRA to disarm, was a treaty. It was negotiated with like the Liberal government of Ireland, but it was still a treaty with the IRA.
Mm.
It was to get them to stop. You everyone wants to believe that you can have like non-violence. Well, anyone having armed, and the thing, the violent wing doesn't have to do any violence, but like you need people who are willing to police the streets and protect you, because people are going to come and try and fucking, like, if you start getting work done, like if you're like a like say a non-violent anti-racist activist in like the 60s, yeah,
Right.
you need the Black Panthers on your street
Yes.
just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case, because people are going to come and try and kill you, and the Panthers are going to tell them to fuck off.
And thank you for bringing this up because I want to reiterate again, I'm not anti nonviolence. I'm not anti nonviolent action. I'm not anti pacifism. I'm not anti historical pacifism. What I'm anti is this ahistorical narrative that nonviolence is when you sit the fuck down and never say anything at all ever in the most like quiet way possible because like someone might take
Hmm.
an Instagram photo of you,
Yeah.
right? I'm
When
not
did
saying
raising your voice become violent? Like what? No.
right, and
Wait, hold
and
on. Like
and what I'm getting at here is the we keep shifting the definition of what violence even is, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
what are you saying when you say nonviolence? I know everyone's been making fun of this post, but it is getting
Mm-hmm.
unironically spread to people. People do try this shit, and they did on that day get pepper sprayed about it. Fun fact,
Yeah.
It is not less intimidating in the middle of a large crowd for a bunch of people to suddenly drop down. That is not a
Yeah.
thing the cops go, oh, well, they're being so well behaved. I guess I'm going to move past you. No, homie, they're going to keep pushing your front line and you're going to fall back because that's generally the action is to like allow them to corral you to a certain degree, right? If there's no imminent danger, people need to be on their
Mm.
feet for a reason because things change in a split second. Okay? If the cops start shooting rubber bullets at you, you don't want to sit down and suddenly be at eye level with it. You also
Yeah, and they're
don't want to
trained
be
to
at eye
shoot
level with their
low.
boot.
They're trained to bounce like the bullets, and they're trying to like shoot the to shoot like the tear gas canisters like away from people to the ground. If you're sitting down, you're taking a tear gas canister to the head.
Exactly. I mean, we saw it. Like, they brought the fucking horseback riders because we're doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you will get physically and trampled in that situation. And even if you're like, oh, well, when it gets actually dire or pops off, I'll just go. And it's like, if you are in the middle of a crowd of people who are all sitting down, not only do you need to go from a sitting position to a standing to a sprinting position quickly, you need to make sure the people around you aren't blocking your way so you don't trample each other if things suddenly get dire. And again, any sudden major crowd shift like that, this hypothetical ripple of people being like, oh yeah, we're sitting down or whatever, will also trigger the cops on your ass. It can be an escalation move, even if you feel like in your heart of hearts it is so obviously not the case. I mean, I hate to break it to you, homie. The historical context of people at the front lines sitting down is an action of intentionally resisting arrest by making you harder to grab and pull away. That is a thing that happened in LA. The people who were on blocking part of the highway, cops did start grabbing folks, and people started sitting down. And that wasn't them being zen out. That was them linking arms and becoming physically heavier so they couldn't be carried as people prepared for the inevitable escalation of things. You need to be aware of how your actions are read before you post and share things like this, because outside of like violence versus nonviolence versus what is political action, this is not
Mm-hmm.
actionable. This will put you in
Yeah.
harm. This puts people around you in harm. You're going to be in a crowd of people who didn't see this post, right? Who have no clue what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, who don't know what your gesture or your quiet signal means. And if they turn around and suddenly people are on the ground, they're going to panic. And when people panic, they act in ways that put everyone else at risk too,
But
right?
also, like, I mean, I've been watching the footage. What's been happening is the cops are setting off like a huge number of concussion blasts, yeah,
Yeah.
and people have to yell, and it's good that they yell. This is a good thing. Like when everyone starts running and just they turn their backs and they start sprinting, you hear, don't panic," and everyone's like, "Calm down, don't run," and everyone stops. Here's the thing: what if instead of yelling and telling everyone to calm down and trying to get the crowd to hold their position and actually resist the cops' advance? What if you drop to the ground and now all the people that are running trample you and trip up over you and fall, and then the next person comes and now they're tripping over more people. You're dropping to the ground during like it's going to be it's crowd crush. Just look at the crowd crush. You
Yeah.
don't want to suddenly become an obstacle. This is how you die.
Again, this
Anyway,
is
yeah,
the
so I
Yeah,
thing
wrote that.
like the
people
the whole
do
thing about
to
crowd crush
avoid
and
or put off the arrest. Like,
so I'll add like a little bit of a scientific perspective here is that like the whole thing about crowd crush is that like once you pack people closer than like let's say 10 people per square meter, people don't behave like people anymore. Like the crowd doesn't behave like people, I should say. Whereas all of the individuals now become part of like this mass fluid that is the crowd.
Become
And
like a fluid.
yeah, and any individual person doesn't really have the ability to like get around in the way that they want to because they have to like bump up against other people's bodies. And so, especially like, at the front lines where like people tend to be packed more tightly, like all you have the ability to do is just react to the pushing of people from either direction and all around you. If you sit down, you are literally just going to get like kicked around in the face by everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're gonna probably get buried because here's the thing: the first person that kicks you is not trying to kick you, so they're gonna fall, and then more people are gonna fall,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be on the bottom of whatever pile develops. So you're just hoping that there isn't a big enough pile to turn you into a smoothie.
Yeah. I I'm gonna, you know, riff a little off of your lovely correction of this post, Celtic. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah.
Uh, there are things you can actually do and better infographics we could be making, even if they're just like responses to this bullshit. Like, hey, homie, my fellow nonviolence peoples, like, learn first aid, learn, like, do bullet wound training. It's a real training you can do. There are organizations who host it for free. Even, like, if you don't know fucking CPR, learn CPR. Bring bandages, bring water, find people in your community who are medics or who can become medics, or do it yourself, right? Like, keep people, we're trying to keep people safe and protected and have the ability to flee if they need to flee if things escalate, right? That's the goal here. You can take other actions that are so much more helpful and impactful than this to reach the collective goal here of making sure people are as safe as they can be while demonstrating the change they want to see, while doing the change they want to do, right? And this feels so obvious to me, but I do feel like there's a bit of social media brain rot that made us even have to get to this point, even though this isn't, unique to social media, obviously. um
Mm-hmm.
but this everyone wants to be the first one to spread the best top 10 tips, right?
Yep.
Because we're kind of algorithm brained
The
as a
algorithm,
society.
yeah, the algorithm likes lists.
We love lists, we love headings, we love graphics, we
And
love a
like,
good hashtag.
and this has existed for a long time. Like the rush to get it out. Like Brady Harron, who's internet famous, you know of Brady even if you don't know their name. Brady is the person behind Number File, Computer File,
Yeah.
bunch of those like educational channels. Anyway, Brady used to work for a newspaper that they won't name because they're like, the thing they say about them is not super, flattering. Yeah. And they say that the motto at the newspaper when they worked there was wrong, but not for long. As in, now that's a great motto for a person to have. That's a great motto for you. Like if you're somebody like, be active, be participant, like get out in your world, take a stance, but you can always learn and get better. But it's a terrible one for a newspaper organization to have because what they're saying is they don't really care. They don't really care if the story is true. They don't care if they have the right framing. They're happy to be wrong. All they care about is that it's out, it's fast, it's first.
Right, right.
We got to get this. We got to get this thing out. So if you're like, oh, I don't really have the sources, wrong, but not for long, baby.
Oh my god, for real. And again, please stop living out. A lot of this feels very, again, it doesn't feel like a genuine attempt at good protest advice. Like, good protest advice has existed for years. You can crack open a book, they still exist, right? And
There's actually a TED Talk. Libs love TED Talk. There's actually a
yeah,
TED Talk, which goes through, I think, 100 different tactics. Well, the TED Talk points to it, and then there's a document in the description. But they point at 100 different tactics for nonviolent protest. I've watched it on stream, and we went through the list on stream. Now, I'm not the biggest advocate of nonviolent protest. Just do that stuff. That's like whatever. That's the entry point. I'm more into like people need to get actual power. I think the most powerful, not the most. If you really want to be able to take a stance and do real nonviolent protest, unionize your workplace. Look into like how syndicalist organizations have been able to resist the government. So, for instance, let's say you work in a manufacturing plant and they want you to manufacture weapons to do a genocide, and you morally disagree with it. If you're in a strong enough union, you actually have the ability to say, "Actually, I don't want to do that. My morals, my religion, my views, my reality. I'm not willing to facilitate this. I still want to work here, and I'm willing to work on other projects and the projects I was hired to work on, but I'm not willing to work on these unethical things." That is a powerful thing. If you want to be non-violent, Start looking into how you can get other power. Because here's the thing: violence is about power. When the government denies you food and shelter and kills you, that's them exercising their power to do a type of structural violence to you. Now, when we think violence from the working class back to the government, we think of you going out and like, oh, punching cops and getting into a fight. That's entry level and that's immediate direct violence. You can do a structural violence, which is legal. And that is organizing a union, that is blocking roads, that is boycotting, that is divesting. When you have the power to do those, to actually do those things en masse, you can shape policy without having to do any direct violence. That thing that makes you feel icky. But that, unfortunately, is socialism. And that scares people because they've been trained to think that that word is the big bad thing. And it's like, no, it's literally just your boss doesn't get to do whatever the fuck he wants and make you complicit.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Keep it pinned in socialism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so further, more nuanced, less popular examples of the kind of shit I'm talking about. The anti-surveillance makeup does not work. It doesn't work. I saw this today, and I got so angry because
I was
this
wondering because
God.
was
this just
already
looked funny.
debated before, and people are talking about like it's new. This is, hey guys, stop trying to be unique and have like unique like things you've never heard about to like win the protest advice and shit. Don't.
Mm-hmm.
We've done studies about this before. This makeup style does not work. It doesn't do anything. It has the opposite effect. You become immediately very identifiable, actually. Uh, I,
Yeah, that's like there is a thing now specifically for AI software, which is like an adversarial pattern attack. That would be different, but this is not an adversarial pattern. Just for context, because I mentioned that earlier. This is a pattern. It's an entirely different
no,
idea.
and
Yeah.
also,
Actually, and on the topic of being identifiable, that is a good thing for if you have interesting hair, you might want to keep that up. If you have tattoos, you might want to get them covered. You can get skin colored plasters or band-aids and put them over your tattoos if you have to, or you can just wear black block. Don't buy your black block from Amazon. And cover up. Right, cover up what makes you identifiable and wear a
right.
mask. If you're wearing if you have like fancy shoes that are
Yeah,
like
I was about to say
collector's
the
Jordans,
shoes. That's the
don't
big one.
wear them to a protest. Buy
Don't
yourself some $5 shit from a local store and leave them things in your trunk. You don't have fancy shoes today.
stop wearing your fucking daily jogging sneakers, okay? Like that you're oh my god, like get a shitty pair or good pair even. Have your little protest shoes. I don't care or your even
Hmm.
community action shoes. This isn't just for
Good idea.
protesting. Like if you're canvassing, physically walking around about things people
Hmm.
might not want to know about, change your shoes and don't wear the ones you wear to work every day. Like
Yeah. LARP as a cop and think in your head, how would you catch, like, if you were trying to find out, if you came home and one of your friends had been in your house, like, start thinking, like, how would you try and catch which one it is? Like, what are the dead giveaways that it's them? And then start trying to think, what would the dead giveaways it'd be you if you were in somebody's house? If somebody can only see, like, your back of you, how would they, what parts of your outfit give you away? Don't wear any of that stuff. Anything you think of, oh, well, I'm always wearing my red backpack. That's fucking today, you're
not
not.
your also to this person. I don't think this video talks about, but like this person who
Hmm.
in the background of the thing, like who has like we got our afros, we got our wavy hair, we got our. I've seen the baddies
Hmm.
out there with the fits on during the protest, right?
Yeah.
I get it. You want Hassan to see how hot your midriff is. Please don't like braid the hair, tie it back, put it under a hat or something. I don't care, or a hard
Yeah.
hat
Also,
if you want to get cool with it. That
Also,
is
if you do get flagged in car, if you do decide to go out looking like if you do want look at some people are streamers, some people want to go out and look good, right? Because they don't care. They're streamers. They're
right,
already
right,
they're
right,
already
right.
on the list. Yeah. If you do get caught, you don't talk to police.
Shut the fuck up.
That was
Yeah.
one of the things on my last slide. Was one, if someone's doing a crime, no, they're not. If you can see someone and you've got a camera, no, you
No,
don't.
you don't.
Do not film. Do not create evidence. And if a police officer asks you any questions, don't answer them ever.
Or
In
any of them.
general,
You don't have to. Fuck it.
don't talk
Like,
to police. Yeah.
again, also for the curly hair thing, when the tear gas starts going off, your curly ass hair, no one's hair, obviously, but like, hey, you don't want the afro out there in the tear gas clouds. It's gonna make it's gonna be a situation for you, especially
Oh, that's
for a
interesting. I
while.
never knew about that one.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, just
like
instantly gets
textured
chlorinated.
hair. Do
Mm.
not fuck with gas with aerosolized product.
Oh, but if you do gas canisters, you do not need to reinvent the wheel. Water.
Water,
Water stops the
water.
reaction. The easiest way to bring it into contact with water, depending on what you've got, there's two tactics I've seen that are pretty good. One, steal a traffic cone, put the traffic cone over it, pour water, trap it. You can seal that up there, wait for the reaction to stop. The other one you can do is you can actually get like little sports bags, waterproof sports bags for going to the gym, get them pretty cheap. You can actually wear gloves. These things burn hot, like 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Scoop it into the little bag, pour in a bunch of water really quickly, give it a shake. It now can't spray anymore. Um, that's like one method I've seen. I do worry about the bags melting, so I don't like that one as much as the traffic
Yeah.
cone. But if you can't find traffic cones or you're worried you won't be able to get one, the bag is at least something. But yeah, you might need multiple. Don't use shopping bags because they will melt quicker than the
Melt
hold water.
instantly, yeah.
You're looking for something relatively robust.
This is a wild side note that while we're talking about tear gas, it is insane to me that it is like on record illegal if you have
Hmm.
tear gas thrown at you to like do anything about it other than suffer.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm constantly astounded that we've just sort of accepted this notion and that people
Hmm.
even have to be cautious about telling other people how to avoid tear gas. Like, I hate to break it to you, but when humans are physically attacked with chemical warfare, they might be
Yep.
interested in not doing that, especially because as we've established, and I can't believe I have to keep coming back to this, but I feel like I do because people get so weird when you talk about like ways to fucking protect yourself. They're like,
Hmm.
well, don't do anything that would make the cops tear gas you. It's like, you don't have to be doing things, y'all. You can
But look,
just
our
be
caveat.
chilling.
Our caveat. We're not telling you how to use. Okay, look. Here's the little caveat. They put like a little ding, right?
Right, right.
Caveat. The Esotechnica podcast is not telling you how to work against any legal and authoritarian, correct, somewhat like operating in good nature police force. We're
Yes.
telling you how to possibly do this stuff against an illegitimate occupying force using chemical weaponry against you. Like if you find yourself accidentally, as happens, many people do. They be walking through Walmart, they trip, they fall into a time machine, they wake up in Nazi Germany. It happens all the time. If
All
you
the
find
time.
yourself in the historically agreed upon evil of Nazi Germany, yeah, that's how you fight tear gas.
Okay,
Now,
but
that
but
being
but
said, now all that being said, real quick, I would just like to say that uh, I, these are not the views and beliefs of the podcast, but myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I personally love the regime so much so that I went so far as to go out of my way. I went so far as to go out of my way to Trump's speech at Fort Bragg, and he even gave me a shout out for it.
I
They
didn't
love
think
the
it was cringe at
military
all.
and they love our country. Thank you very much, Shelley. Thank you very much.
I didn't
Appreciate it.
think it looked like a psychic case of hemorrhoids. I didn't think it looked like he's uncomfortable sitting down to take his
oh
poops,
god.
but military
I'm
somehow.
so happy. I don't know anything about that man right now. Uh, I do want to make the point though of again when I talk about protection and stuff, especially around tear gas. During the fucking nexus of it all, like the Home Depot raid, like random ass people going about their day got tear
Yeah.
gassed. Like the tear
Oh,
gas
oh, oh,
cloud goes across places. It doesn't
yeah,
just stick to the people you don't like.
yeah.
We're in
And there's a
densely
lot of it. There's
populated
clouds
residential
of it.
areas.
Yeah, it's clouds of it. It's like we've made a Snoop Dogg that violates the Geneva Convention. It's just smoke everywhere.
Right, and they keep
Um,
doing it, and they're doing it with very
but
powerful
rinse your eye.
tools.
Rinse your eyes. By the way, people are gonna tell you all sorts of things for rinsing your eyes. Use water.
Use
Use
water.
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 Water on the smoke on the smoke grenade. Water on your face. You do not use milk. You do not use anything else. I've heard saline solution can be okay, but I've also heard the saline solution can mix with some of them really badly and make things worse. If you don't know which tear gas grenade's been used on you and you don't know which is which, that's gonna like
Just
you
use
can probably
water.
start to see how that's gonna be hard. Just use water. Water's good on all of them. Yeah, water's the universal key here.
Like you
So
don't want to like
do that.
use saline solution and accidentally form sodium chloride crystals in your eye.
Yes,
Exactly. So
exactly.
use water.
You
Just
use
keep
water,
using water.
right?
Water is your friend. Water's good for you.
Have it on your person, right? This is
Yeah. But
again,
do not use milk.
this is
That's
not.
that's milk. Honestly, I believe the milk industry made up the propaganda that you can use milk to sell a little bit more because they've made up so much propaganda. Yeah, this is totally a side note, but the milk industry has literally made a propaganda to like convince you that there's a food pyramid of how much you're supposed to eat of different things, and that
Yep.
cheese is really high in that food pyramid, and it's not. And then they have used that to then like they literally work with companies like Domino's to put extra cheese on the pizzas. The reason there's cheese stuffed crust is because they're trying to get pizzas up to a place where they're like 70% cheese as a product. They're like
We'll have the
you
dairy
do like
episode one day.
Arguably,
we have to have it. We'll have to have a dairy
many
episode, but
Americans would argue that that's a good thing.
it's not a
I'm
good
not.
thing because
I'm
it's not a
not
good
one of
thing.
them.
I've had it.
But look, the reason they're doing this. Look, so I'm just saying. I think the people who are spreading the put milk in your eyes are either feds or they're selling milk.
It's honestly a
And
lot
you
of
shouldn't believe milk
feds.
salesmen. Like if somebody kicks in your bedroom door and they're like, "Oh, you having anal sex?" Well, I interest you in milk. It's a great lube.
Yeah,
Milk.
exactly.
Stop buying everything from the milk salesman. He shouldn't be in your bedroom.
Exactly. Yeah, but again, this is not Jay calling for anti-violence against the state or whatever. Right? You can be a person going about your everyday life and things start popping off because that's just sort of what's happening. Things are just sort of popping off, or you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can be doing everything right and a good civilian or whatever, and suddenly get caught in the literal crosshairs of a situation. I've and I can't get into specifics here. There are people who I know, not necessarily physically near me, but like who
Mhm.
just, you know,
Conceptually, people who might exist.
conceptually, no, like genuinely people not physically near me, like who
Hmm.
going about their everyday, who aren't chronically online like me, or and aren't covering, like looking at the coverage, and they're just like, you know, random ass white Gen Zer being like, I'm gonna go to the fucking Home Depot today, who suddenly find themselves in a very immediate escalated situation because, like, oops, there are brown people around and we gotta do something about it, right? I'm seeing more posts of people talking about the experience, and I think as much as I hate having to make the selfish argument for why you should care, you do still have to make the selfish argument for why you should care, to make people do that, because that's how a lot of people work. Of, hey, your safety is not guaranteed again in a martial law situation, right? And so it's
Hmm.
good to know your legal rights. It's good to know how to talk to cops, which is to not. It's good to know what illegal versus illegal detention is supposed to look like, and your
Hmm.
local, have the phone number of your local law group, dude. I don't know how else to drill that down at this point. And I do need to talk about that second image here. So,
Hmm. Go for it.
on a more local level, people, not local to me, local in general to people, have been using like Instagram stories and posts to try to like mass immediate emergency mobilize if they see something, right? So they're like, hey, raid is going on here, or this is happening, and spread the word, right? And this isn't me hating on this person specifically. I don't know this post or where it's located, genuinely. It, you are you are using the tools that were given to you in a way that other people have told you to use them for. And I'm not saying don't let people know, right? I what I am saying is, and I'm saying this as neutral way possible, I guess. There are better avenues to create communication networks, even ones that involve social media, that don't require you putting that on your personal Instagram. And if you are going to do that for whatever reasons of mobilizing to groups or communications networks local to you, they probably exist. You probably have coalitions who are doing that, right? Who have the encrypted group chat, okay? Or even if you don't know where that is right now and you don't know who to reach out to or who to DM about it, right? You should figure that out, by the way. Um, you're you might be inciting more panic because you're not giving actionable enough details or specific information that would allow people to react, other than being like, I guess a thing is happening on certain routes and certain buses somewhere, question mark, right? Like, cool, we should all be alert and aware, spread the word, but spread what word? You can look this up. There's formats for, like, if you were to, for whatever reason, want to, like, report a potential sighting or and post it online, of like, there's ways to format that. There's specific information people need. There is specific data that's helpful to folks. You also, everyone right now thinks they're an undercover cop expert. I'm not saying don't call out if you think someone is an undercover fed, but you need to say that you think that, not that you've confirmed that, because you,
Mm-hmm.
most of you are not experts about this and might genuinely be doing false confirmations. And this is not a situation where I can say I would rather have a false than a true one and be overly cautious. I do think everyone should be overly cautious. Da 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 da. What I'm saying is, in the amount of panic and anxiety that people take of targeting the, potentially non plainclothes officer or covert raid happening, is obscuring people who are good at this, who are notifying people of the things that are in fact happening.
Oh, also, I will say on this topic of possible troublemaking, if you're gonna go to a protest and you're looking to like make content or cause drama or have some sort of fun, I don't know if y'all seen the Kick streamer that went to a protest and said, "I love fascism, WI, support them all." She got her phone knocked out of her hand, and then when it wasn't recording, someone punched her.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll be honest, that is that was actually pretty restrained. As much people are going to be like, well, that's ridiculous. They punched her for. She's mocking the victims, surrounded by like thousands of people who care. It's amazing that like a bunch of people didn't fucking dog her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the crowd is being very, very, very restrained there. I'm gonna be honest. That is just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen a person do. That is the most Twitter ass behavior. Yeah,
Yeah.
people IRL will punch you in the fucking face.
Yeah. Uh, that's
Being
These are not
online made
because
people too
protests.
comfortable.
Yeah, well,
genuinely, that's
protests are
kind of
not
what I've been
like
getting at this whole
protests are not.
time.
Yeah, protests are not full of like. Protests are not like anime conventions. They're not TwitchCon. They're not online. These are not people who are used to this person's trolling. Some of these people don't know what trolling is. They, they are not gonna listen to your behavior. They're just gonna go, what the fuck? And that's it. You're in trouble. And that trouble is probably gonna escalate and you're gonna get fucked up because these are normal people. Normal
Exactly.
everyday people that are out there, and you've been a nerd sitting in studying the theory, and now you can be useful and go out and help them because you're like an online person and you know a whole bunch of stuff. And not that you can help by being in charge. You can just have like you have different information, they have different information, they have lived experience, you have different things you offer to each other. If you're like some online person though and you go down there trying to like start drama and have like Nick Shirley has had to been escorted out of multiple protests, the police have to come in and rescue him because people are trying to fucking people have been telling him like I'll repeat the words. I'm not gonna say but people have been telling him to kill himself. Like they circled him and wouldn't let him out. And were telling him he should he should kill himself. Like Nick Shirley's a fascist. If you don't know who that is, he's a fucking loser. But like the point is, these people who are going to agitate, even if that is your intention, with this particular stuff, you really shouldn't. Because one, the cops are probably not going to be too fucking nice to you in general, and the protesters are not going to be too nice to you. You're not going to have many friends, and you're going to get isolated, and things are not going to go well for you. Stop being a
Right.
freak.
Also,
And some people have been going to these things drunk. Sorry, I was watching
no,
a
no,
stream
no.
and some guy showed up drunk and started pushing people. Do not do that. These are like these can be kind of parties, and it's okay to maybe maybe smoke a bit of weed or something. I don't know. Like I've seen that. Like I don't think it's too bad to turn because people like protests are not inherently dangerous, right? I've seen people talk about this. They're not inherently dangerous. They're not a big huge thing. This is your community, and they're out there because they're empathetic and they care about other people in this community, and because of that they care about you as a concept. You are a part of their community, and they care about you. The protests, especially these types of protests, are full of some of the best people that you happen to not know yet. Some of your friendliest strangers. They want good things for you. These things can be fun. You can have your chance in your music. You can connect with people. There can be a community atmosphere, but don't get too fucking comfortable, too casual. Don't get completely, don't get inebriated and start throwing hands. You are still
Yeah.
surrounded by hundreds of people who are all very scared, stressed, and under some tension because there's police shooting at them.
Right.
Like, just have some fucking self awareness.
Don't show up with like PNG checkerboard paint on your face, dude. Right. And
Don't do that
again,
either.
if you're again like record, I'm not saying don't record shit when you see it, protest or
Hmm.
enforcement or whatever. I'm saying also like look at how you look from their perspective. Like they will shoot journalists live on news and get away with
Yeah.
it. If you are standing there in your everyday clothes with your phone out all of a sudden, they're going to look at you too, even if in
Yeah.
that moment they don't do
But do.
anything against you, and you suddenly are
Hmm.
posting on your like public Insta about shit going down. You
Yeah.
are a very identifiable human being, and it's really easy to think you exist just online. You are a physical person who takes up space, and they have every reason to, if things start popping off, come harass you, or if you're in that situation again repeatedly, right? Like
Hmm.
outside of just being like, hey, you might not actually be the most accurate reporter of information. Like if you are someone who's like trying to give awareness to a situation or a potential whatever, right? In your specific local area, Instagram probably actually isn't the best vehicle for that in the first place, or your Twitter feed. Like, talk to your neighbors. Like,
Yeah.
hey, homie, I'm going to be the leftist who tells you to touch grass or whatever. Uh, do that. And I'm going to I've ranted about this before, so I'm not going to go into the full rant because I still want to talk about social media. Like
Hmm.
social media brain has put us in a position where a lot of people don't realize that the things you are trying to do online, a lot of this information would actually probably be best delivered locally to your neighbors who aren't also online because they are the ones who only see CNN and MSNBC. They are the ones who are also most at risk right now,
Hmm.
right? Like I need you to
Yeah.
take
There
this
is a some
energy
point.
physically to your like community centers and
Hmm.
work from there.
Yeah. Just
And
start going to like bingo and talk to old ladies.
literally, like
Yeah.
talk to old white women, talk to people who are not leftists, talk to people who aren't liberals even. Like
Hmm. Yep.
this is not the time for you to hunker down purely with the people who are already aware of situations or have some awareness of it.
Yeah. And
And
God
who are
forbid,
fellow
don't
Gen
spend all
Z.
your time. But God forbid, don't spend all your time fighting with people who 90% agree with you about the 10% you disagree on. When there's people out there who are being recruited into Nazi organizations,
Exactly. Like if you think a raid is
like
happening near
it's
you
what
and you have
pointless.
cause for concern, that you don't like say like, oh, Twitter, do your thing. You go to the homes or areas of the people
Hmm.
around it to let them know. You alert
Yep.
people physically. Like if you want to put
And
yourself
these
in
things.
harm's way in that way, go for it. But
Yeah.
be efficient, be smart, right?
Our post on social media can be helpful. Like we've seen it in Minneapolis. There was a video that went viral of people throwing trash cans at the cops, and the cops had to leave because they couldn't do their little ice raid. And the reason they couldn't do it was people got mobilized off of Reddit. People got mobilized off of Reddit, but you know what they did? They got mobilized off. They didn't stay on Reddit. They didn't go post it more places. They didn't put like a little black square in their Twitter bio. They got mobilized off of their website, went out to the street, and because they showed up, a lot more people, a lot of locals came out, and they realized what was happening. And then obviously there was the coordinated. Because here's the thing: there's always organizations, there's people who are organizing in your community. You learn who they are, work with them. Those people also came out, and now there was the people who knew what to do, people who could run the place, the people who were smart, and now they had numbers for the first time in a long time. And now they actually were able to tell the cops, "No, get the fuck out,"
Right.
and the cops left.
I
That's the power. They need bodies. They already know what to do.
I want to go to the next slide and then not address it
Yeah.
for a minute. Uh,
Okay.
it's still we're still on this topic. So
Huh?
regarding again, so saying like, hey, you know, let's do a mild recap here. Um,
Hmm.
there's good protest information and there's bad protest information. That is how information online works. Social media makes you brain rot and thinks when you pull out your phone to take a photo that you're invisible. That is not true, especially
Hmm.
to authorities. So you need to be aware of that and what you do and those choices you make and how actionable you want to be about it and what might be best for you and your personal safety and you and also the safety of your community, right? That
And the
is
people around
everything
you, yeah.
anything all
Like
the
for
time.
instance, if you whip out your phone and start filming things, maybe don't catch someone's name and face and like and any crime they're doing in one video. Maybe don't create that.
Yeah, and also don't
You
record
know?
your own
Don't
crimes.
Yeah,
Don't
like,
do
yeah,
the
but like if you
crimes
see some
for legal reasons. I have to say
so
that.
some guy was talking to a police officer, right? And it's the wildest thing. There's a clip of this as well on the internet. We're not going to play it here, but like some guy was talking to a police officer, yeah, and the police officer's being in his face, being rude, cop shit, yeah. And this guy basically says something of like, hey, you better like, change your manners or you're gonna get knocked out or whatever, yeah. And then the person who had the camera, they just look away for a second. They're like, oh, what's over here? And they cut back, and the weirdest thing, the cop had just passed the fuck out. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And there was no reason to film the exact moment the cop started passing out.
right. Heat stroke. It gets everyone. Um. Additionally to that, thought if you see something online, like vet your sources, right? Like I know we're all basement dwellers or whatever, and even if you don't have friends in the area, also this is a great time to make friends in your area. Like even if you don't fucking like them, you need community
You need a community
you need a
before
community.
you want a community before you need it.
Even if you fucking hate your community, even if your community of people who don't agree with you, even your community are people you keep at arm's length
Mhm.
at all times, you need someone who can
Yep.
verify something for you who lives in XYZ neighborhood where there's action or potential threat,
Yeah.
okay? Like this
Also, broad-based organizing. Like sometimes certain people have different functions. Like people in a union don't have to be socialists. Unions are based in general. Unfortunately, sometimes that means you're going to have to get some workers in who haven't got it all figured out yet. This is the nature of it. As long as they're willing to have solidarity and work with the community, and they're not like a wrecker and destroying things, that's just the nature of it. You're gonna have to learn like how to work with people.
right. And not just people in general, like I, I say this as a colored um immigrant communities are not like woke. Like I think a lot of like okay, I'm saying woke in quotation marks, right?
Hmm.
The Fox News fear of gay blue hair
Yeah,
pronoun Spanish speaking, right? Even though that exists. Well,
they're woke in the old meaning of like they're aware to the oppressive structures of society. They're not woke as in like maybe correct on pronouns is
right,
what you're kind of
right.
saying.
I've seen the statistic flying around of people talking about how many Latino voters like voted for Trump compared to previous elections, da 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 da, right? Whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, and they tend to say that to discredit defending people, which I think is an insane thing to do.
That's
But
another liberalism.
yes, exactly, right. And so, but like I
Hmm.
do need to point out because I've seen this in smaller doses, but way more, and also even my own. I'm queer. I'm on prep now. Like I have a weird gender. Actually, it's not that weird, but that's not the point. Um, I am a person who even struggles to exist in my own communities, right? In immigrant spaces,
Hmm.
in Black and Afro Latino and Afro Caribbean, da 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 da, all the acronyms and hyphens, right? And so I see liberals, but even also their leftists who struggle to organize locally in these spaces because they do not know how to navigate working on the ground directly with people who you are very culturally and ideologically different and potentially opposed to, who might say mean things about you, who might not trust you immediately because, like, you don't speak their language. Like, literally, you don't speak their language, homie. Like it's gonna be hard to walk into a bodega and ask someone to like talk to you about ice, right? Like I really need to hammer home that when I say you need to be out in your streets and in your community talking to your neighbors, that includes people who might not fucking trust you and might not fucking like you, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. And I'm not saying like take shit from anyone or whatever, don't stand up for yourself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that you need to understand this is a speech for white liberals, I'm sorry. Like, you need to understand that the
Yeah.
people you are working with and fighting for, you're going to have difficult conversations with in a way that you probably have not done before, and you also might have to put certain conversations on the back burner until people are safe, right?
Yeah. So there's a thing that like I came across a while ago, and this is unfortunately it's slight tangent, but it is, I swear, related. Yeah. Um, After October 7th, David Pacman, who I don't like, by the way, David Pacman's a liberal. Um, David Pacman came out and said, like basically the different repackaging of the if you were gay in Gaza, they'd kill you, right? And I said, stop leveraging queer identity against us, David Pacman. I can support whatever the fuck I want and can juggle the complexity of queer liberation without your well intentioned but ultimately offensive and patronizing, fucking condescending attitude you use this fucking shit lib. I put well intentioned in quotation marks. The idea of conditional support for the oppressed is akin to the conditional support for the homeless. It's purity testing. Oh, you're homeless? Great. But did you quit drinking? Did you quit drugs? Turned into, oh, they want us to stop killing them, but did they liberate gays? What my point of this is, I'm seeing this now with from liberals about, oh, the protests are great, but they're not good enough because they're not like, oh, sure, they're out protesting for a good cause, but are they peaceful? Are they nice? Are they friendly? Oh, they want us to defend Mexicans, and sure, they're victims, but didn't they vote for Trump? They didn't ride with Kamala. Like, isn't like you need to stop being so puritanical.
Yeah.
This is a new flavor of puritanical, and also you're rubbing old ideologies into the new wounds here. These protests are getting like a repackaging of meritocracy, which is the idea that like rich people deserve to be rich. If you believe that, you think Donald Trump's a good guy, which most liberals would say he isn't. You believe poor people deserve to be poor. If you believe that, then you probably aren't going to these protests anyway. So get the meritocracy in your head out when you talk about protests, because here's the meritocracy. Everyone who gets hit by a cop must have been violent and they deserved it. And everyone who doesn't was following the rules. Kill the cop in your
Also-
head. Kill the cop in your head.
Just real quick, I would like to fully address the whole paradigm of like, oh, if you were gay in Gaza, they would kill you. So like one thing I've learned, like as I talk to a lot more people from the Levant, I mean, yeah, just from Southwest Asia, North Africa more generally, like.
Yeah.
Like the thing that people, constantly like to ding the Middle East on is like, oh, homosexuality is still punishable by death. But like practically speaking, nobody really cares. Like there are gay clubs in like Lebanon and like all over the Levant. Like they know these people exist, and most people just don't care about them. Like, are these clubs and spaces marginalized? I mean, yeah, but so are they. They are as well in the United States and pretty much any other space where like
Yeah.
that hasn't done the whole like deconstruction of the cis heteronormativity,
Yeah,
whatever.
no,
Yeah, like it reminds me like we had blasphemy laws on the books here in Ireland. I can't remember what year we got rid of them. But it was very recent, yeah. Removing them was a formality because they weren't really enforced. I'm not saying that like those laws are not enforced in the Middle East, but I'm saying like over in the Swana region. But I am like saying like we tend to overemphasize that. But even if here's the thing, here's what I'm saying this like the B and the LGBTQ here. But like for me, yeah, even if a place is homophobic, it doesn't deserve genocide. Even if people were conservative, they don't deserve to be mass deported. Even if people are on drugs, they don't deserve to be homeless. Unfortunately, my empathy is not conditional on you having to do something to deserve it. When I say kill the cop in your head, that's not like kill a cop. That's not like a call for violence. I'm saying kill the thought in your head that is policing. Kill this part of your head where you think certain people do not deserve humanity. because they haven't met your standards for it. Now, there is people out there who are a threat to everybody else. They're openly a danger to everybody else. Fascists, dictators, Nazis, who, if given respect, will just use it to kill as many people as they can. Those people, unfortunately, yeah. Like there's very little you can do to respect them in the short term. All you can do is like take them out of power and then try and help them not be Nazis. That ideology is inherently dangerous. By the way, if you haven't clicked that in your head yet, the thing we're up against, fascism in the world, the rising fascism cannot exist ever in any way without violence. So people say, oh, but like you compare like you communists fly the hammer and sickle. That's like a symbol of violence, and they try and compare that to the swastika. You're doing Nazi propaganda when you say that. Hammer and sickle is a symbol of a unity between workers in the city and workers in the field. It is a sign of peace between the working class, right? The swastika is a symbol of a genocidal movement that wants to kill as many people as it can. It wants to eradicate entire populations. It wants to destroy entire identities from society. The goal of communism is for people to have food and control of industry. The goal of Nazism is to have a white ethno state and have killed as many people who are not white as possible. Like you need to recognize, like you need to recognize what an actual violent ideology looks like and what actual violence looks like. And the construction of a Nazi state or a fascist state is the single most violent thing you'll ever see. It might be civil, it might be legal, but it will be unimaginably violent.
Yeah. I I really want to drive the point home that we're on around like, hey, talking to your neighbors, etc., might not look as cool as you think it is, and it's really easy to just like stay online with other leftists who get to laugh at the
Mm-hmm.
libs with you. Like, I and I'm gonna be a little vague with this. The co-hosts know what's up, and I don't want to make this the J Personal Diaries cast. Um,
Yeah.
but like I before this, like immediately was in a really uh bad interpersonal drama that might have impacted my housing potentially, uh purely related to my transition and such things, right? um in a very bad and horrific way that is still being mediated, right? Like I am someone who has been not just like impacted by, but in ways like directly victimized by my own community of people, uh in ways that obviously I'm opposed to, and which wasn't the case, right? Uh, and even fucking then, the moment I got wind of, hey, things are happening in LA related to mass deportations skyrocketing, my second thought was, uh, even though I'm not even in LA, I need to check in on my fucking people and see what is the best version of myself I can be to stand up for my fucking people, and we will deal with the shit when the shit's not on fire. And
Yeah.
god fucking damn it, y'all, if I can do that in this current moment with a lot of help from therapy, uh
Shout out to
right?
therapists.
Shout out to therapists. Like if I can
Shout out
get
mental
out of the
illness.
basement long enough
Shout out
to
mental
deal
illness.
with this shit, you can talk to people in your local org or chapter who are kind of annoying. Okay? I promise you, you can do it. People are like, oh, I don't know if I can canvas. I'm shy. I'm an introverted. Great. Try anyway. The stakes are high enough for you to learn social skills. The stakes are high enough for you to learn nonviolent communication and conflict resolution. There, the stakes are high enough to do those things. I promise and I swear. And like one of the arguments that is the reason why I'm less online than I previously was, even though I'm always lurking around, um, was me in a greater discussion telling someone you really should touch grass and being told that that was an ableist sentiment. Uh, I'm also fucking disabled, by the way. Not to like collect labels or whatever. It's just a thing that is true, objectively, about myself, like, and my body, right? Uh, hey, dude, even fucking, disabled people, we can do things, we can
Oh
take
shit.
actions, we can do support, we can have. I don't want to
Hey,
hear this. It is more ableist to imply that disabled people are incapable of participating in social change than to be like, oh, it's weird to tell people to touch grass and talk to their neighbors and be and grow new skills out of nowhere. Bitch, I'm sorry. You gotta.
and here's the thing, like, so I will say, if you do feel completely unable to do something, if you do feel completely unable to do something, you do, like, that's fine. You can have your boundaries, you can have different limits. I go to Bobby Sands for this. Bobby Sands is a man who, for anyone who doesn't know, starved himself to death in the illegitimate state of Northern Ireland, fighting to be recognized as a political prisoner. All he had to like do to get peace was basically just accept that he was a criminal in the eyes of the English government, and but he was like, no, I want to be recognized as a political prisoner. I want to be given my rights as a, like, he was an elected member of office a certain way as well. But he went on hunger strike and literally starved himself to death along with the other hunger strikers. You can look into this if you want. There's also a movie with Michael Fassbender called Hunger. Pretty good. Now here's the thing. Bobby wrote a piece. He said, "We all have a part to play. No part too big, no part too small." And like, that sentiment is just one that's coming from a guy who gave everything for the struggle, and he is saying, like, you going out and you just making your voice heard, you going out and doing like whatever you can do, just make sure you're, like, be honest with yourself, right? It might be like, if you're a leftist and you say, like, to each according to their to their needs, from each according to their ability. Be honest about what your ability is, and are you giving it what you can,
Be
because
honest.
it's big time right now.
Be honest with it. I don't want to,
Yeah,
stay on
but
this too
also
long,
I do
but
have to
like, yeah.
interrupt slightly. I do have to interrupt slightly.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is breaking news. So the news segment was earlier, but I did just see this right now at the corner of my eye. Trump has ordered the National Security Council to meet in the Situation Room
Oh, fuck.
Ooh boy.
as we're recording this. So by the time this drops, there might be war with Iran. And
Big
if
things coming.
And if there's war with Iran, never forget Trevor Moore put us onto this. They're gonna drop all sorts of bullshit. Remember we have a moon base, and the moon base is overrun with moon bears. Hey,
Oh,
we wouldn't happen to be going to war with Iran today, would we? It's like, oh,
so you saw the whitest kids
You
you know
got it.
video.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Trevor Moore, that's the guy who hosts. That's the guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you said Trevor Noah.
No, maybe I
God
did.
damn
Who
it.
knows? Trevor Moore, R.I.P.
To be honest,
But
you probably said Trevor Moore, and I just didn't know who that was, and so I
That's
just
reasonable.
completed.
but yeah, we wouldn't happen to be going to war with Iran today, would we? And it's like, you got us. But that's it. But no, this is like, we're probably gonna get like we're probably gonna get some news about aliens, or we're probably gonna get some, like, you're gonna get some serious misinfo, because again, the media is completely complicit, which I think brings us back to what we're talking about here.
Yes.
People have been turning to the internet for their news, and their internet for their takes. And here's a take from the internet from Bernard Sanders.
From Bernard Sanders. And again, this isn't me shaming people. This isn't me shaming other disabled people. This is me being like, I need you to really introspectively think about what your limits actually are, what they functionally are. Don't burn yourself out, obviously, or break your body, right? Like, don't get arrested. If you get arrested, you can't show back up tomorrow, period. This is me saying, like, have a real shadow work fucking sit down with yourself before being like, well, I'm not qualified, to be like, okay, what are we doing right now? We might go to war with Iran. Fuck it. Like, Bernard Sanders, titular white man, doesn't understand MLK.
Dr. King, you see, defeated racist government officials and ended segregation through disciplined, non-violent resistance. You know what? Actually, Hey Celtic, how good is your Bernie Sanders impression?
Oh God. I mean, it
God.
depends. My all my impressions are either like wildly good because I get the right tone on the first word, or terrible. You know, once again asking, Dr. King defeated racist officials, and no, I'm in the wrong tone. Totally in the wrong tone. See, can't get it today.
I think it was good enough though.
Okay, defeated racist government officials, ended segregation through disciplined, nonviolent resistance. Defeating Trumpism, oligarchy, authoritarianism requires the same level of discipline. Violent protests are counterproductive and play right into Trump's playbook. There you go.
Beautiful.
But I will say, just for immediately get this in here, I've seen that last sentiment there. Violent protests are counterproductive and play right into Trump's playbook. I hate this. This line, Trump's playbook. Oh, you're playing right into his hands. You're giving him exactly what he wants. No. Bernie's being specific here. You're saying violent protests, but I actually seen one person even say protests are giving him what he wants. He wants chaos. Hey, buddy, what the fuck should we do then? What are you suggesting? We should let the ICE protests go? Hey, that's fascism. If the option is fascism or fucking let's rip the band-aid off and have hyper-fascism and let's fucking go, it's showtime in the streets.
Well,
I'm on the
answer
second.
is to just sit down.
The answer is to just sit down and shut up. I can't believe sitting down and shutting up didn't work.
Have you tried being shaking his hand about?
Mm-hmm.
Bernie got arrested at a civil rights protest. I feel like I know everyone's already been saying it, but I really need to bring it home that this is a man who got arrested. This, to do a more historical lens, because we do that here sometimes. I guess I don't listen to our podcast.
Well, esotechnica. It's a mixture of tech and also esoteric.
Right. But
you know what I mean. So this is esoteric
shit.
knowledge.
A part of why I did bring up this
intros
was
and
to be able to talk
pronouns.
about MLK.
All right. I'm a he him.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I'm a they them. I'm jelly.
I'm upset.
I'm Celtic. He him.
Fucking hell. I'm Jay
Imagine.
sometimes, depending on where we are at in the timelines. Dr. King got assassinated, I feel like by forces. I'm not saying he was wrong. That's not me having a hot take. This is me saying that even non-violence or perceived non-violence against the state, they'll still fucking kill you for it.
Yeah. Well, because no one has ever risen up. Imagine you're back in Rome and the emperor has his legions of men and his slavery and he kills people on the regular, yeah? But you brave soldier, what you do is you stand up and you cross your arms and you prepare to wag the most the finger has ever been wagged. And you do it respectfully and very nicely, and you do it out of sight, and you kind of minding your own business. Do you think he's going to go, wait a second, everyone stop? What's that guy doing? Wait, hold on. Is he wagging his finger at me? I don't think he approves of what I'm doing. You know what? Free the slaves. Dissolve Rome. My people, it is over. I have realized my wrongs. The ghost of Christmas right the fuck now has come and he has wagged his finger at me, and as an Ebenezer Scrooge now I just wilt into a good guy. I will buy Tiny Tim a Roman turkey tomorrow and we will all have Roman Christmas.
And she ebb on my knees till I Scrooge. I need to point out here, got him. I need to point out here that this is also worded in this weird fucking neolib post-racial society way that we have no racist government officials and segregation doesn't exist at all. Hey, home slice, Bernard, look me in the eyes. Obama didn't solve racism. We keep having these hot takes about the civil rights movement like it was a billion years ago and fixed everything forever. We are currently in real time through the administration who's doing the things, right? Also eroding those civil rights legislations. God fucking damn it. Hey, the amendment, the one that they're trying to get rid of that gives people birthright citizenship, that was created for black people. And I also need other black people to remember that, by the way. we were not considered historically citizens of the United States on purpose.
They originally wanted to put black people in Libya.
Yeah. And they
Not
sent
Libya,
some of
sorry,
them
Liberia.
there.
Liberia.
Liberia.
Sorry, I got my L.
Oh,
Liberia.
God.
Yeah, no, and that's why Liberia's
They wouldn't have
flag.
gotten Gaddafi if I was there.
Oh no, no, but they wanted to put black people in Liberia because they didn't believe that they could be trusted to live with white
Right.
people. So there was a plan to originally deport all black people after they were done with your labor, and like
Yeah, like the
ultimately,
first most notable like back to Africa movement in the United States was founded by racists. Just
And
and the
Abraham
most
Lincoln.
prominent early Zionist movements were founded by people who were not Jewish. There was a thing to deal with Jewish people by anti-Semites. In general, anyone who says, "Hey, all these people who are living here in our community, I think they fundamentally are incompatible with our society, need to be rounded up and removed," are just generally not nice people.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not unrelated to your rights. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into this discourse, but I do want to acknowledge it if we're talking about MLK, etc. I have seen some black people, and I hate being this guy, but talking about like, yeah, well, this isn't my problem, this ain't my fight, this ain't my crossfire. And I'm not gonna say it is, right? But it like historically speaking definitely is. And this isn't me calling out black people specifically. Other minority groups also need to shut the fuck up with that sentiment because no one asked you. Like, if you don't want to do anything, cool. You do not need to announce it to the world like it's like a flex. No one's begging at your doorstep. You are probably also not the kind of
I will.
person who would do something even if it was your specific demographic. Like, bitches acting like
Yeah.
they were out in the streets at Black Lives Matter and now this is the one they're sitting out of. Homie, you were not there the whole time. And I am
Yeah, I
unconcerned.
will say on the other minority groups, just for my own personal, as somebody who's in the LGB but not the T, but I don't fuck with that kind of concept of like LGB without the T. I think LGBT has to be always kept together. I think
Yeah, you
fundamentally,
gotta
like
always have
that.
the tomato. It
Mm-hmm.
really
Yeah.
ties it together.
And so for me, like I just want to say, if you're somebody who is in the like, if you're somebody who sees like bad shit happening to trans people, like, oh, that won't affect me, and you're like gay or lesbian or bisexual, you're the stupidest idiot. I need you to go and read the Niemoller First They Came For poem 500 times and then say like one prayer to like Bernie or something. I don't know. Figure yourself the fuck out. Cop the fuck on. Watch some fucking drag queens grow a spine and then go out and like fight power. You're an embarrassment. I'll say it. I'll say it
Yeah.
as a bisexual. If you're not with trans people, I'm sorry, you're an embarrassment, and I hate you.
I agree. I sometimes I go down these internet rabbit holes, and I don't know if this take was real
Uh-huh.
or a bot because everything's fake, right? Conversation for the other
Yeah,
day,
we
but
live in 2025.
right.
The world is chaos.
Well. Like I've always been curious what the like actual counter argument is to people who are told this information of specifically this is like an interaction between two black people, right? Of someone telling them like, hey, like they will come for us too. Like if they have full military control and power and authoritarianism,
Mm-hmm.
they haven't forgotten we exist and they don't like us either, right? Like even if you're not like
Yeah.
also blackness is not an identity separate from immigration status. I don't
Yep.
understand why we forgot black immigrants exist, and even if black immigrants didn't exist, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. But this woman on the Instagrams, right, who was confronted with such narrative and the poem, which apparently she read or at least claimed to have read, like her counter was like, well, black people have always succeeded against white tyranny, so when they come for us, we can't fail. And
Oh.
and I think this probably applies to gay people too. I'm not saying gay like an umbrella term. I'm specifically talking about gay men who've been getting on my nerves with some things.
Gay, non-queer, like
Like
Yeah.
because there's a
cis
split
gay
between gay.
men.
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's a split between like you can be gay without being queer, and you can be kind of like queer without being gay.
Yeah. There's semantic
Because
things, but
yeah, gay, yeah. And like some gay people are like obviously are not doing this. Like most are not doing
Right,
this, but
right.
there is an increase in like liberal gays who are I specify
Oh,
if you're
you two-
somebody.
You two are gay? Oh, which one of you is the woman?
right.
Oh, I'm saying, yeah. Well, I was gonna say gays who for them, all that mattered was performing cis het normativity. So they wanted to be able to get married, and now they can get married. So they think, oh, well, I'm on team fascism now.
Yes. I specified cis
You're
gay men there, also like white
yeah.
ones, but and this isn't me saying they're exclusive. This is me saying the data points at y'all for doing a lot of this shit right now. Actually,
Mhm.
um, lesbians, you're not off the hook, but we talk about you a lot. Um, I
Everybody can get ethered on the
oh,
Esotechnica podcast.
absolutely. But
Your favorite
doing
queer
this,
theory and technic.
Hey, queer theory is esoteric knowledge.
but
It fits.
I think that this argument made by this like supposed black woman online, about like, okay, well, we survived and
Suppose
did
it.
our. I don't know who she is. We haven't met. I don't know her from a can of paint, y'all. But and I
Allegedly black until proven
yeah,
otherwise.
yeah, yeah. But like, comparative to other groups, uh, being like, okay, well, we won our big battle. We did our big court cases and our, getting written into rights or whatever. So even if they do come for us at the end of it all, and the leopards try to eat my face, like, we're just so good and powerful that we can't fail. And that is magical thinking on a dangerous level that I do not know how to talk around. I do not know how to even address in a meaningful way, or if that is possible for an external force to do so. Maybe God has to talk to you, I guess. But
Mhm.
I cannot
That
imagine.
feels like a take written by the CIA for black people.
Right, and I've seen it in other ways and in smaller contexts of fundamentally feeling like bad things can't happen to you because they
Mm-hmm.
can't. Like, that's the way children think, but I realize a lot of adults
Circular
never
logic.
grew out of that belief of, no matter my actions or the repercussions everyone is telling me, it can't be me because I'm good and I'm
I'm
strong and
me.
I'm not like those weak ones out there who created their own, the meritocracy copying here, da 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 da, right? Um,
Hmm.
oh, related, next slide.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
bang.
So who likes brunch?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
And this
brunch.
they got yelled at this. Sorry. Okay, so this is a sign that says, "If Kamala were president, we'd be at brunch." This is not the one you've seen from months ago. They did it again, and I actually just seen a person get 72,000 likes, or something like that, saying, "Why is everyone getting so mad at the brunch tweet?" Like, you need to stop. You need to stop wanting to be at brunch. This is the problem is that you think that there's no oppression going on because you're a liberal person who is like you are comfy, you're educated probably, you have your needs met, you're doing fine. Everyone who's not doing fine is a them problem. That's meritocracy. You've literally believed again, if you're anti-Trump, Trump has billions, he's very rich. Is Trump a good guy? No. So okay, so meritocracy is bullshit. Having a bunch of money, having privilege is not a sign that you're working hard and people who are suffering it don't deserve it. We can break that idea. If you see suffering in the streets and you're sitting at brunch, you're the problem. You're why that suffering is there, and you're why the populace get triggered and end up going for people like Trump just to shake things up
Yeah.
because they're sick of suffering in silence. Your brunch caused Trump. The thing that caused Trump was your brunch. You did this.
Also, and I need to point out, Kamala is not some progressive saint or progressive period. She is pro Zionist and pro war. She also had a hand actively in the continued destruction of immigrant families and lives and has been pro deportation also. Like, I'm not saying this to
Mm-hmm.
try to,
Also,
like,
she policed parents in California,
right,
and
right.
she,
She's
like,
put
she's a
black men
cop,
in
and like, so
jail.
she.
Like, this is not a woman who stands for some like hypothetical she's still
Hmm.
on Twitter too. Like, all these people are on Twitter. I hate it. Like, you can see their takes now. Um th- again, I always have to preface everything I fucking say at this point because we have no amount of media literacy. I am not saying that she's as bad as Trump. I'm not saying that these are
Mm-hmm.
equivalent evils. I'm not doing that right now. And I know people are like, well, why do we even have to talk about how bad Kamala is? Why don't we focus on the other thing? Because you keep bringing her the fuck up. I wouldn't be talking about her if you didn't do dumb shit like
Yeah,
this.
they're going to run. No, they're going to run her in the next election if there's another election. It's going to be her or Gavin Newsom.
Oh,
And
fucking damn it.
here's my specific issue. Now, look, I'm not in fucking America, right? So y'all can be like, oh, why do you care? I'm fucking affected by your empire, right? But so anyway, here's the thing. Why do y'all in America only ever talk about electability when somebody says you should have healthcare, or when somebody says we should we should go against 76% of the voters who want an arms blockade on Israel? And when someone says that and like runs as a diehard Zionist, you're like, no, we just have to back the party candidate. Then why couldn't the party candidate be a leftist that we just have to back? You need to realize the DNC does not have your best interest at heart. The Democratic Party is an evil organization and is out to just fucking get its worst ghouls up to the top so they can do more insider trading.
Yeah.
You're being fucking had. You are bamboozled. You need to fucking chill the fuck
You were
out
getting
on
got.
like fighting everybody who points this out to you. You were like, it's embarrassing at this point. Like they're not even good at hiding it. And it's like Kamala was an unpopular candidate who ran on the most unpopular things and took positions that people were begging and protesting her not to take. She
Also,
lost
let's
because
not-
she's a bad candidate. If you run her
Let's
again,
not
she'll lose
forget
again.
that. Let's not forget that in what was it, 2016, she was the first one to drop out of the primaries.
Yes.
She's never been popular.
Like,
She just kind of got tacked. You know, fuck it, I'll say it. She just kind of got tacked onto the Biden campaign for DEI points.
yes.
And like forced diversity.
Sorry, there's
and, like,
actually
diversity for the
there's
sake.
liberal language for that. Allow me to so the way they would explain that.
I swear to God.
The Biden campaign recognized key strategic lacking demographics that they weren't really feeling that they were appealing to. So they reached out to Kamala because her inclusion in the campaign would give Biden significant lead over those key demographics, specifically the black woman community.
I'm gonna choke you out and
Thank
not
you
in
for
the fun
think
way.
tankifying it.
Just putting that on record, I guess. Yeah. I love brunch. I've been to drag brunches. They're great. But it's not.
Brunch is amazing.
Is that called a drunch?
Yes, and it's not the point of like we're not. I'm. Every time I see this
The
post,
liberals
it
are gonna
really
take brunch from me.
drives home part of I think my almost like desperate pleading relationship with a lot of people who are really fucking online. I don't even think she's chronically online. She's probably chronically offline having this take. But more so the like, hey, dude, especially Lib's perspective of what are we doing this for in the first place and who do we actually care about? Like, why are we fucking talking about Kamala at the protest for saving brown people in this country? That's not the conversation we're
Yeah.
having. Like, they don't. Who's this for? Like, who? I hate saying virtue signaling because it gets so overused and overplayed. But genuinely, like, Trump voters aren't looking at this and thinking, damn, I regret voting for Trump because you told me I don't have brunch anymore. They're at
You
brunch.
know what? Yeah, I do miss brunch. I'm
Right?
gonna stop
I miss
doing the
brunch
fascism.
too. Broski, whatever. I could be at brunch tomorrow. I might. I keep talking about it. But, like, Kamala voters already feel this way, a lot of them, right? Like other libs are already libbed up with you. They already agree with you. This is cool. Preaching and choir. We sound shit. Moderates don't fucking care about the sign because they don't care, right? Like who in the context of a protest, a public display, who the fuck is this sign
Well,
for
okay.
other than Twitter points?
Well, that's the thing. So this sign isn't a protest. This sign is you being clever.
Yeah, this sign
and
is a
all I
Twitter
can
post.
think, look, at the risk of sounding like a millennial man and a former edgelord, I'm recovering. I'm getting better, but I will say, Tyler Durden is screaming in the back of my head. How's that working out for you? Being clever,
Genuinely though.
like because that's what Tyler says to the fucking the main character in Fight Club before he goes home and basically his entire apartment blows up and his entire life falls apart because ultimately he realizes his life is empty and meaningless and yeah, you're just kind of performing like, look at me, I'm witty, I'm
Me
clever,
too.
I'm
Oh my
fun.
god, I'm so
No, you're
I got a
not.
sign. It's on cardboard to myself.
Please, for the love of God, please, for the love of God, take a stand. Why don't you get a sign that's actually protesting and mad about something? Why don't you get a sign that's not snarky but angry? Bring anger.
Bring it back again.
Yeah,
I feel easy. Like I would rather
like
people be there with stupid
libs
millennial
used to
ass
be
signs
better.
than not be there at all. I'm not saying like
Yeah,
to
libs
not do
used to be better.
anything.
Like, remember the Kathy Griffith photo where she was holding a severed Trump head?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was slightly better than this.
yeah.
Y'all could go out with waving that in the streets. I'd respect it. Like, that's a lib. Kathy's a lib. I don't, I'm not like, I would
I
respect
propose
that
a
more.
program. I propose a program of like French foreign exchange citizens where they just like come over here, like live like in like big cities, but also the worst ones,
Yeah.
and
No,
then just
unfortunately, we can't give America any more French because the last time we gave them French, they invented Louisiana.
well,
And then
Louisiana
and
food carries American cuisine on its back.
In a way,
it does. That's
Louisiana
true.
created my white girlfriend. Sorry, I had to do girlfriend race reveal. I'm sorry who.
Uh,
But take my race card now,
I don't know.
JK.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can see it, but like a kufi cap just like spontaneously materialized over my head, and my eyes are
there,
now like
there's
glowing
the
red.
there is the fucking there goes the Dr. Umar sponsorship we were
Yeah,
gonna get.
I love it because like it's just slightly spicy enough that we're aware. And by we, like she's hyper aware that there are apparently other white people who don't think she's white because of that connection. Fucking crazy ass shit they got going on. Uh,
Yeah,
You got your own. You got your own Pope.
internal bait.
Pope Leo Haitian.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
her hair's too dark and curly, so we gotta have a little bit of suspect here, I guess.
internal beige debates between slightly off-white people about exactly how off-white they are and who is the most off-white is always the funniest. It's like, oh, you think you're white? Aren't you second generation Polish? Yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah,
thick
yeah. Why don't you sit
blooded.
down?
Yeah,
It's like, what?
talking about this on my favorite all black podcast.
I'm okay. No, look, I can't have that. People,
I can't give that
I,
to you and not my girlfriend, who I'm definitely not giving it to because she's a white woman.
mhm.
But
Yeah, I know. I'm DE Irish.
D Irish. Hey, I'm slightly
Mhm.
polyamorous. Does that mean that does that make it better or worse for me? I don't know. Actually, I think that is its own stereotype. Never mind. Let's keep going.
Mhm.
We
Next
tangented
slide.
too hard. Next slide.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so Josh Hawley doesn't know how things work or what it or I get we could censor this word
Oh
out, but I'm gonna have
wow.
to say it a number of times. They don't actually know what domestic terrorism is. I realized.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were all domestic terrorists.
Yeah, yeah. This is like
Um, Josh Hawley, I do have to say before I want to classify. It's not that he doesn't know how things work. It's that he chooses a version of reality that makes his pee happy.
hmm
Um, like literally, he just wakes up and whatever suits him, that's it. And this is like it's willful ignorance. It's not true ignorance. He knows better. He doesn't have the taste to like observe the truth and do better. It's very
Right.
subtle. What's there?
Other this does relate to social media, which is loosely the thesis happening here to keep it a tech podcast, I guess. I say that like there was a gun to my head. That's a decision I made of my own will. Anyway,
It's tech and esoteric knowledge
Right,
podcast.
right.
But always, as long as what
Yeah.
you're talking about is a fringe thing that most people don't think about, like it's fine
Dude,
because
no one's
everything is
thinking about
kind
the
of like tech.
protests right now, definitely. So we
Mhm.
have a fun little letter. It wasn't just sent to the Party for Socialism and Liberation. It was sent to a lot of
Mhm.
socialist, communist, leftist, Marxist, Lenin, whatever. Fucking everyone in Cali and apparently some neighboring states got a cute little letter from Joshi, um, insinuating that they're doing like domestic terrorism, supporting acts of violence. They're going to be investigated, right? He even put his little signature on it and gave a list of everything they need by November.
Mhm.
And legal experts immediately like laughed at him because that's not how this works. Fun fact: if the government genuinely believes you're doing a domestic terrorism, they're not going to tell you they think that and ask nicely for your
They're just gonna kick in your
signal.
door.
Like, this is not the process for you if you think this is a real, true threat in the way you present it at to threaten people. This is not a subpoena. This is not a court order. This is Josh with head lettering. Okay? But even in that context, we still need to take this very seriously because they targeted socialist and related big scary label names specifically. And as we've established at this point, the law and the way the courts and such are supposed to work don't
Mhm.
matter anymore, right?
Yeah. Also, I will say, because this is where me being a politics freak is very helpful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The targeting of these political organizations began under Joe Biden,
Yep.
actually. Because Joe Biden
Yeah,
and
buddy.
his FBI updated the classification of terrorist symbols and terrorist groups to include most leftists, especially Antifa, but which most people are like, oh, well, of course Antifa. Okay. They also went after the animal liberation people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, advocating for veganism and shit is now akin, like, it's one step removed from terrorism. Sorry, but
No, for real though.
Joe Biden, your favorite little lib, built the police state, and then Donald Trump inherited it.
Right. Like we're classifying organizations who fight for okay, any org that fights for immigrants' rights has been getting hit by whack ass shit. But like, dude, that includes the people who are like quote unquote saving your white South Africans or whatever. I'm not getting into that beef, I'm sorry, but like I have to reference it to set up the metaphor here.
I will say no, just because I have a
Decon
hold
done,
on, no,
baby.
because I have a significantly large South African community for some reason. Well, I
What?
know exactly why, but anyway, but yeah, people who watch me. I have a lot of South Africans who watch me. Uh so I actually know about this. There is no white genocide in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's complete bollocks. We just put that out there. It is a completely manufactured and fake thing, and the people who were even behind it, the Afrikaner movement who were behind it, yeah, went on Piers Morgan, and with very small amounts of pushback, basically just went, yeah, okay, there's no they were like, oh, we don't even think there's a white genocide happening. I was like, then what are we talking about?
Right.
So
But
literally,
it could.
the people who were behind it, the political figures who were running it, denied it was a genocide on Piers Morgan. So like immediately, just like it's a joke.
Shout out to
There you
the
go.
white
Sorry.
South Africans. I don't know shit about what you got going over there. I'm sorry. I've been preoccupied. The point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that when we
Yeah.
um Republicans should actually be pro immigrant right coalitions because these are they tend to he's doing it in this letter but also like framing it as like harboring refugees and whatever. These are also the organizations who have the most equipment and expertise and legal knowledge to help get people legal documentation and citizenship. These are the people who you go to make someone legal. Even and people are like, "Oh, well they shouldn't be here in the first place." This includes asylum seekers. This includes people who aren't even crossing the border illegally, who are still seeking aid because they need assistance to get across the border legally. Fun fact, like these are organizations who you want to keep around because they are helping create the thing you keep saying you want, of people having documentation, having legal rights to work, having protection so
Yeah.
they, report their taxes to the IRS, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
supporting this is completely this is racism. If you support this in any way, this is at this point you just don't like Mexicans, you don't want them in the country. Which to be honest, for most of the people involved in all of this, we knew
We
was the
knew was the
case.
case, right? But
But your plausible deniability is gone at this
right,
point.
and in regards to social media, this has created a really awful relationship to, because we exist in a security state. Obviously, I'm very aware of this for myself. um but the problem is
I won't go
people
to surveillance
who
capitalism too,
identify as
which we'll have to talk
socialists,
about.
right? People who are like, maybe you just
Mhm.
casually are part of your DSA chapter or on their mailing list, right? Or you work with like a group that does like, runs a soup kitchen but also like helps immigrants or provides health care, right, to undocumented people or even fucking documented people at this point, right? We exist in such a state where any of these groups and organizations or things that could be perceived as such can just be slotted under this insane umbrella of like domestic terrorism or harboring criminals or criminal activity, or putting you on a fucking watch list to be under scrutiny, right? Again, Biden helped build up the system. So you have people who, again, you could be posting on your fucking uh personal Insta or whatever protest flyers or ways people can get PPE and supplies or safety tips or just general knowledge or have even vague associations with these organizations because you're trying to do your best, and you'll talk about it. I'm not saying don't talk about it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we are creating, and he is fighting for an environment where any involvement in anything that could be even somewhat associated with this puts you even harder under the government's eyes, and it's making the problem of libs spreading misinformation worse because you have leftists who do want to talk about it, who are like anarchist TM, who know how to keep people safe in certain situations or whatever. Like, you are putting all of those people under the same banner and level of scrutiny for some fucking reason. Well, not the same, but you know what I mean. And it will encourage the least educated, sit down at the protest, get your ass trampled, here's how to paint your face because I promise the cops won't notice, right?
Mhm.
This rhetoric can absolutely blossom in a media environment where anything that is seen as more radical than that can land you in fucking jail, or even just impact your job, right? Like, out, take the government out of the equation. The government is also endorsing things that employers can use to justify their fucking hiring practices. If they see you were being weird during, this month of the
Mhm.
year on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, they do check those things, right? Motherfuckers are having their livelihoods, their safety, their family lives, the spread of misinformation, news media reporting, et cetera, put directly at risk. It is being directly threatened. Um, Again, even if you're someone who has never done any activism work, any social work, any community organizing, never posted a day in your life, you shouldn't feel comfortable existing in a universe where people who, even like, a dude got arrested for handing out water to people outside
Yeah.
on a fucking hot day in LA, right? You shouldn't
Yeah.
feel
And
comfortable in
and
this.
masks with COVID still going around, and in general, like, yeah, people are getting people are getting fucking criminalized for helping their community.
Yeah.
What?
And then, like,
Um. So what's the? I can't really read this slide right now, but this is criminalizing the people that are talking about it as well, right? Like the people documenting it, like the social media coverage.
yeah, it's implying as such.
I didn't
Hmm.
It's
see.
okay. So part
It
of it
does
is it's
include
specifically saying
media.
that it's not protected speech. This is the big part
Hmm.
that has constitutionalists afraid, right? Even your fucking conservative ones, god damn it, we all want freedom of speech, and obviously we do not have it, right? that's not the point. He's basically threatening here, and they could put legal action behind this, and I think they're trying to. They did it with saying like, anything pro-Palestinian is like a call for violence, period, and the State Department could fuck you up about it. Uh, they're trying to create a system here. We're talking about ways, basically everything we did today, like, but talking about ways to like, support protests or immigration rights or things related to like immigrants, period, and communication around that, trying to give aid, what have you, isn't free speech. It's not protected speech. It is tantamount to violence, or it is violent action. It is saying fire in a full theater, and you shouldn't feel like your rights and privacy are protected. So we want as much information from you willingly as you can. If you don't give it to us, we'll try to threaten some sort of, congressional legal action, which they genuinely don't have the right to do, but they'll probably figure
This
something out
shit
later.
hasn't. This shit has emboldened people to be immensely cringe on the timeline, I should say.
Yeah.
Because like that image we showed earlier that I made, the one about like it's fucking protest that we had earlier in the show. When I posted
Mm-hmm.
that, somebody responded to it. Wow, cops will even shoot you if you behave. Wow, this page is not
Well,
conducive to American values. I don't feel safe. This is un-American. I'm telling on you. And then they added the DHS, the Texas borders are the real Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. I thought it was a joke. I then went to their page. It's not. It's all they do. All they
That
do
is
is find
hilarious.
un-American speech and report it. Yeah.
some of y'all have never existed as a black person in America, and some of you have and still didn't learn anything from it. But, uh, sorry, I get, again. I'm a person with too many labels and intersections, and currently everyone hates every amount of that, and I gotta like just somehow vibe it out. Um, it is again the whole like nothing bad can ever happen to me personally because it never has. I do not know how to like instill a healthy amount of fear in people that you can be the bestest little boy possible and say the script all the way right and appease the authority
Mhm.
as much as you want and be as invisible and sightless as you think you are for whatever reason and still get fucked up randomly by the government and they won't apologize to you about it, right? We see it happen. It's not a thing out there to those people. It is a thing with you here right now in this current timeline. If you become a useful enough idiot, or even if you're not an idiot and you're just, again, I don't want to like talk down to people who are scared. I'm not saying everyone needs to be on a podium. I actually disagree with that. I think a lot more people need to stop being like, well, how do I get to the front lines as soon as possible with no training or expertise or common sense? It's like, hey, maybe like go join your fucking local soup kitchen, right? I want to give like actionable things at the end here. Um, we already gave a lot of actual things, but a lot of us, social media and protest coverage stuff. But like, hey, like do run information campaigns that are well researched and sourced and thought out, and share them locally. And if you want to share them online or you have a platform, do that, right? Activism also looks like providing childcare for people who do want to be out in the streets, but they have kids that they can't leave alone, right? There's also people getting deported and put in detention who have kids who don't have the community structure right now for people to watch them too. If you're a good fucking
Mhm.
babysitter, you don't even have to be like, dude, I babysat when I was 16, dog. Like, if you can watch a comrade's kid so they can be safe and well fed and not stressed out, because stressed, afraid kids are real and exist and are a thing we need to talk about too when we have the space for it, go for it. Provide food for people. Make sure everyone has food stability and safety. Go to fucking Costco together and bulk buy so you can get the big discounts and then disperse that amongst each other on grocery runs, right? Like, help your roommate do their laundry if they're anxious and depressed right now and trying to like balance a full time job with, you know, doing shit with their local DSA chapter if you can. I'm not saying that those are the most important things at all the time, but they also are, right? Because if we're all going insane and running out of fucking Lexapro or whatever, and food insecure and housing insecure and emotionally insecure, uh, then yeah, it's gonna be hard to be on the front lines in ways that matter now or might matter even more later if that's a thing you're even capable of at all, right? And I say this to everyone, and I'm saying this also to myself right now. The point isn't to burn yourself out. We're only like what 5 months into this administration. I know everyone always says it, but we're less than a year deep, and we're already here, and we don't have any realistic expectation that things are going to magically get better on their own, right? Um, if you take yourself to the very edge, right here, right now, there is a rest of your life you have to live and fight on, right? Like go to brunch and then also say fuck Kamala. That's what I'm saying. Like go to brunch, have a good meal, connect with people, and then come back and keep doing the work. I promise. The balance is hard. I'm not good at it myself. Um, but it's possible, and
A
it's
little too
okay
much
to put your
brunch.
phone down. The social media network is great, and it's also evil and awful. It's gonna brain rot you. It's gonna make you in a constant sense of anxiety. Stay informed, absolutely. You do not need to be informed every fucking waking minute of the day. And that's the point.
Let's. But speaking of informed, I think we should move on to the. So we're talking about like social media part, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the next slide, is
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
All right. I will never get over this being the only footage we have of the Burmese coup that led to the civil war. So this was the video of the 2020s, huh?
Yeah. This is hits real
Um,
different with the Iran news you just gave, by the way.
yeah. Real time news I'm just getting from Twitter as we sit here.
Yeah. It's been like this. It's always been like this. Not always, but it,
No. It's definitely changed. It's definitely shifted in recent years. That like I was saying this. So, I've been covering the protests. I've been covering Iran and Israel. I've been covering it in bits. I watch other things on my stream. I don't really do like breaking news, but it's been impossible not to cover it. But there's channels that are in real time finding every single like TikToker, YouTuber, Twitch streamer, anything that's out and about, and they're putting a wall of all their streams with the names. And if you want to go zoom in on any of them, you basically just go to your search bar, type in the name, boom, they can watch that stream, and it's giving like real time, like documented, like little collections of
It's like an
live coverage on the ground. And like I've seen people talk about this. Like Hassan went to a protest, right?
mhm.
When you see a
and he was
protest kicking
farting.
off and you see tear gas and you see like people getting shot, you always see it from a helicopter, disconnected, making the crowd look scary, big, like a big fluid mass flowing through the streets. And you see the police interviewing after to contextualize it. Hassan took the news coverage to the side of the protesters and filmed from their perspective the anger of the police. We are now starting to see as the mainstream what is the new mainstream among a lot of young people coverage of these protests is people on the ground in the protests humanizing them. It's no longer an outsider perspective judging them. It's now people on the inside asking what they're about. And that has been a huge shift because also some people are looking for this is like where like so old media, traditional media is failing. New media is meeting needs we didn't know we had, and one of those needs I think is more or less agendaless news. As much as that's impossible to really have, we're getting there. But like, if you just have a person out walking, filming their POV as they walk through a protest, no commentary, not saying anything, just there. That's just real time information. People have been calling what's been happening in Gaza, the genocide there, a live streamed genocide because we've had real time ground like recorded footage of war crimes that were leaked on like TikTok and such, and now those are just clips that you
Leaked
can
is the
like
word.
yeah, like well they found, posted, collected somewhere else, posted somewhere else. Like these
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are
yeah.
not supposed to be. I'm using
A
the word
lot of
leaked
these
because they're
people
like that.
just posted them.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean leaked into the psyche because my word is what I'm trying to say is
Hmm.
these are things that were not supposed like these are things that you used to have to get as a leak from like a government, like someone would steal it and show
Yeah.
it to us, like this is what WikiLeaks used to do, yeah.
Hmm.
But now the shit we post is leak level shit.
Mhm.
Because the reality I'm making is there, like, we used to never get this type of stuff. You always have to get someone filtering it for you. Now you're watching the reality. You're seeing on the ground like what has happened. So I seen like I was on TikTok and I was watching it break people's brains during the early stages of the Gaza genocide, because they were saying, well, CNN just said this, but I've seen 4 videos this morning that counter it, and I've reverse image search stuff, and nothing's coming up. These are new videos. So they're like, why is CNN lying to me? And now people aren't even asking that with the protests. They're expecting it.
Yeah. That
People know it's a bullshit. And now the same thing's happening with Iran. You know, everyone is just laughing at mainstream television and dunking on it as they go to Twitch streamers. And that's scary, because it does create an area for people like an Alex Jones figure to take over and do, really dangerous shit. But it also lets more people who are actually like real and about this shit talk about it. It's shit. It's a democratizing of the ability to report the news.
right. And again, and that's part of why, like, we're privileged
Mhm.
in the sense of being able to even have enough information to fucking critique the protest to such a degree in the first place, y'all. Like, the
Mhm.
ability to infight on such levels is also a miracle, because we have enough information to be able to get nitpicky, or even not that nitpicky, about certain subject matter, right? And
Mhm.
and that's, again,
when
like,
you we can
the
even
greater
find
thesis
the
here of, like, you
community.
got discernment, we have more information, and you've got to really actively, critically dig deep and think about, eh, how do we use these tools? How are we interacting with it? How is it impacting our brain rot or non-brain rottedness? How do we take the online, offline, and vice versa?
Mhm.
And his everyone's always like, history is happening. We live in interesting times, but it's true. Like, I document my own thoughts. I need a journal more. This is a weird aside, but it's true. I, because I have this growing feeling of, at least for myself, right? Uh, how the fuck am I gonna explain this a couple decades from now? Truly and honestly, like, I can't
Yeah,
go. I'll probably have like the screenshots and the timelines or whatever, but when you really look down, it's like, okay, how do I even sift through the piles of evidence and the million bajillion takes and the everything enough, and my own attention and lack of memory by that point in my life? I barely remember what I ate this morning in the first place, to even be able to describe this enough to learn from it, you know?
Mhm. Um. Yeah. Also, I will say, sorry, just on another note, I won't say who, because this is a personal matter that seems to be happening, but it's at the kind of popping off a little bit. So it's like, it's trickled up to, I've seen it and I'm not in the spaces to see it, kind of way. But I did just see somebody said they were detained and they're being deported to Mexico, and they're now telling their story on Twitter about this happening to them. And turns out it's a member of the Swiftie community, so
Oh shit.
somebody who was just a Taylor Swift fan. And so like it's now coming to places where, like, people
first
who
they
might have
came for
thought
the
they were too,
socialists, then they came for
and
the
then they came for the
Swifties.
And there was that
Swifties.
one
But no,
TikToker,
people.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, well, just to finish that point, second. Sorry,
Mhm.
I was saying you might have thought like, oh, you're well, you have a certain level of privilege. This person is saying that they have a degree, they're a graduate, like they're wealthy, um, they're doing fine in America, and they've just been illegally detained and deported. This is like they have family, they have a kid in America now, and they're in a different country. They can't go back to get their kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like people need to recognize, like, this is what we're saying. This will start to shrink. Now, this is a person. This is happening to a person you wouldn't have thought it was happening to. It will happen to another person. Once this gets normal, it will happen to another person you wouldn't have thought it would happen to. But this is the power of the real time coverage. Like, we're literally seeing people. This is someone's POV of them experiencing deportation, and that's available to us in real time. Yeah.
Uh, that's
Mm-hmm.
my ending thought. A big sigh.
Yeah.
And we have one slide left, of course. But my big thoughts and prayers.
Oh,
Thoughts and
on to the
prayers.
next slide. Okay, so this is a broader concept that I've been enjoying since like I've been enjoying as a way to talk about it and like teach it to people like since I learned about it. This is a concept known as the zone of exception, um, which is like a place where the laws don't matter. But things like we can't test out new surveillance technology on you in the United States. You have rights. So we create these places, zones of exception, where human rights don't matter. Guantanamo, we can try out torture, and we can normalize torture, and we can try out tactics to break people, physically, mentally, and we can then use those on Americans at a later date, and then we can sell them around the world to Europe and other places to break anybody. Similarly, um, different types of weapons, tear gas recipes, all this type of stuff. They need human subjects to try this stuff out on. And one place where a lot of the worst things have been tried out is Palestine by Israel on the Palestinian people. And this is why the NYPD have an office in Tel Aviv.
Mhm.
This is why the NYPD and other police forces train with the IDF. The IDF trains your police because they're giving them the tactics that they've discovered in while dominating people that don't have human rights.
Yeah.
No, what do
So
you mean?
this is what people would call the imperial boomerang. The things we do elsewhere for the strength of the empire have a side benefit, and eventually that shit comes back in various different ways. It can come back in the form of 9/11. It can come back in the form of your police now have ways of psychologically breaking you that people didn't
It
know
can come
were
back into
people didn't know.
it can come back in the form of an HIV epidemic, but that's the Halloween episode.
That's fair. Okay.
Oh God, I
Well, it
can't
can come
wait.
back in the form of like, it can come back in the form of your police now having a way to break your mind in a way that the state never conceived of to make a law for, and the state is letting them and will drag its feet on banning it until they have something else, until they have a new tactic. Because that's the thing, the laws all your rights are always lagging their tech. They always have more ways to surveil you than you have protection from it. That's
Yeah,
intentional.
that's true. Again, the whole
Laws are vibes.
yeah. I
Yeah, like
mm,
I
oh, sorry, you
was
lagged
gonna say
out for
we
me.
had this with we had this with the Irish government and the British, right? Frank Ryan, he's an anti-fascist. He died in Nazi Germany, but after going to like Italy and Spain to like fight fascists, yeah. And he wrote about in his estimate, like, well, did the British only give Daniel O'Connell? Daniel O'Connell is considered the liberator of Catholics in Ireland. So you got Catholic emancipation, Catholics got rights, but they actually lost a lot of their working class rights. That the limited rights they had as like tenant land, like tenant farmers, they lost those rights. But Daniel O'Connell got his freedom as a wealthy Catholic to basically be more or less English. This was seen as a huge victory, but it didn't lead to anything. In fact, when O'Connell dies, Ireland is going through the genocide, which is called a famine, but it wasn't. It was an engineered famine. Which, if you engineer a famine and then 2 million people die, what do you call a system where you come up with a way to kill 2 million people, right? So the liberator's alive and well and dies during that period of time. So why did he fail to liberate stuff? Why was that not right? And Frank Ryan has this kind of sentiment that on Problock kind of hammer home in their piece on O'Connell saying he's not a liberator. If you want to look those up, but the point of the matter is, did the British only give O'Connell what they had already rendered inert? AKA, like, was there no way for him to actually have freedom and a revolution from what they gave, as because they'd already took all the power out of what Catholic emancipation would mean. They'd already set up new ways of control. They'd already built new systems. So sure, you can have your Catholic emancipation. It's no longer necessary. We see this in America, in my opinion, when slavery ended. spoilers, if you haven't got to that part of American history yet, it didn't end. It just transformed. They're like, okay, we'll take slavery off, but we've built this new thing, which is basically slavery, prison slavery,
Called sharecropping.
sharecropping, prison
Also,
slavery, the next stage. And what we're going to do is we're going to put you back into the system we just ended, because we're only giving you what we've already rendered inert. Liberals and the go slow and be patient gives the fascists time to get out in front and create the next trap. What we need to do is we need to rupture through what we're currently dealing with, this deportation and fascism under Trump, and then rupture, keep going, keep pushing, and challenge the next thing before it's even built. They're currently building tomorrow's trap. They're going to at some point walk back some of what Trump did, and if you take it as a sign of peace, like, oh, here you go, we're sorry, yeah, Trump was definitely bad, you will walk into the next trap. You will sleepwalk into it. The Democrats are not your friends is a big warning, because when Newsom eventually replaces Donald Trump or whatever, there will be another snare for you to get caught in.
Yippee. This
Mm-hmm.
was
The fight doesn't end till we're all free. That's why we all have to be free, because ultimately, if anywhere's still alive and occupied that has people in it that don't have rights, they're building new tech to enslave you with. You need to liberate everywhere. That means no Zionism. That means no the Waltons and these Walmart billionaires and all their laborers stuck in poverty. No, all this shit is compromising you. You're saying no kings while having kings. You're keeping hierarchy. Sorry, you haven't actually deconstructed what you're mad about, and you haven't gone far enough. Your no kings was compromised from the start because it was some kings. You just don't call them kings. Like, oh, no kings, but emperors are okay, right? No.
Do you want to hear a real fucking...
In the words of Sister Soldier, an
real
injustice
fucking
anywhere
headline?
is an injustice anywhere. I'm sorry, continue.
No, you're fine, Jelly. Sorry. I love the lag on my end for everything. No, I saw one of the No Kings protest signups, and I guess one of them was at, like, during someone's, like, pride and partnered or whatever, and it was, like, no kings, ... but maybe queens.
But queens.
And I'm like,
That makes me want to die.
cool.
That makes my stomach turn.
That makes me kind of want to die.
I
But also,
hate
I will
this.
say that is
makes me
kind of
wanna
the
get home.
sentiment.
Never mind.
Are we about to like
that
read
is
a
their
girl boss
literal-
feminism? Is that what we're doing right now? Is that it? Or like for
we're
the
doing
gays?
we're doing gay boss feminism.
Gay boss feminism?
Yeah, because like everybody is a queen.
Yeah.
Yas?
Oh,
Are we
God. Yeah,
yassing?
no, so
Are we
this is what-
yassifying the...
So,
We used to
Yes,
throw
we're
bricks.
This is
yassifying
what-
fascism.
Look, it's Yossism.
We used to throw bricks.
Yasserism.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing. What we need to be real about is no kings needs to include capitalists. It needs to include landlords. It needs to include warmongers, imperialists, because ultimately, one, morally, you shouldn't want to kill children all over the world. Can we say that is that controversial in 2025? Killing Palestinian children is bad. But also, this is going to fuck you over, because you're building the very tech that's going to enslave you. That's going to destroy your community. We need to be really serious. A king anywhere is a threat to. Oh, it's everywhere. It was an old expression. I think it's fake. Someone attributed it to an Irish revolutionary, but I could never find a source for it. So I think it's bullshit. But it goes hard. Yeah. Man will never be free until the last king is hung with the entrails of the last priest.
Oh. That goes kind of hard.
Yeah. I can never find who said it. I've seen it attributed to an Irish revolutionary, and I've seen it attributed to Voltaire, and I've never found a source for either. But it's a bar anyway.
God, I mean, yeah. Again, the Esotechnica podcast and Jay specifically has never, and Jay specifically is not
These
calling for
yeah,
acts
hold on.
of domestic terrorism
Hold on,
and
let
violence.
me do the disclaimer. Let me do a disclaimer. The Technical Podcast does not in any way endorse violence. The king, and that was purely metaphorical. The entrails of a priest were purely metaphorical, and the hanging was of a legal nature, meaning like to hang them up in the red tape of bureaucracy. Of course, this is to create a legal structure in which freedom is possible through the dismantling of kings as a anarchical,
Can't say anarchist.
antiquated concept. Antiquated concept. There we go. There we go. We're good. We're good now. We're good now.
Are we?
Purely memetics and semiotics and ghosts and goblins. Oh my!
I can't wait for the next episode to be one of the normal ones where I talk like 15% of the time and it's just sex jokes. I cannot. You know it's bad when I'm not allowed to be sex jokes McGee who doesn't know shit for fuck. Okay? Someone send me
Military industrial
AO3
complex.
links. That's
Yeah, military industrial complex and a police state. I barely know what.
no, okay, this is my call to action for the community if there is one. I don't know if anyone listens. I don't check the channel.
They listen.
I hope
I've
not.
actually been hearing good reviews. As well, I get feedback on my stream, and people have been saying they've been enjoying the
That's good.
podcast so far. So I've not had any negative reviews.
First of all, everyone vote for me as sexiest co-host. Uh, s- uh, we have no contradictory evidence to this.
Listen.
Jelly knows. I'm not. Send me for self-care reasons your favorite non-fandom AO3 faves. If you're listening to this, I'm just assuming some of you have some rattling around in the brain, even if it's your own. Hopefully, it will be delivered to me by pigeon.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I even.
All right. So I think this is a pretty cash money episode.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely
Technical
organic. It was an organic, free range. The word the theorists use is rhizomatic.
Yeah.
They usually
yes,
use it to mean
absolutely.
something. I'm just using it to sound smart.
This is still the most scripted I have been, and I still don't actually have a real script. This is why
Well, you're scripted, not structured.
if I'm leading an episode, just someone hit an emergency button somewhere for the most ADHD man alive got out of bed.
Are we ending recording then? Do we need an
Yeah,
outro?
let's do an outro.
If you got one,
vote Mom Donnie. There
Vote
you go.
Mom Donnie. Monotony.
Frank
vote
Frank Mom Donnie. Even if you're gonna vote for somebody else, make sure your number 2 is Mom Donnie, okay? And also look up young cardamom Nani. Trust me.
Yep.
Find out about Zora and Mom Donnie's rap career.
Yeah. Also, it's ranked choice in New York City. It's not just one guy. If you leave the rest blank, it actually gives... It helps Cuomo, okay? But don't put Cuomo in your ranks. Just put other people there in whatever order, okay?
Yeah. And in order, like reverse order, where your last vote is the person who supports Israel the most, and your preference is the person who supports them the least, and go that
Yeah,
way.
and none of them should be Cuomo. You have enough options to pull that off genuinely.
Yeah.
In New York City.
No Cuomo.
What happened to Eric Adams?
Currently,
Eric Adams is a fraud.
Oh, I was gonna say, currently he's finger wagging at people in the streets of New York because New Yorkers love being told to not be in the streets.
Okay, well, look, last piece of news and me giving you Twitter updates. As of yesterday, this isn't breaking, but Eric Adams was actually hanging out with Sneeko and Amber Rose.
Are you serious?
Gross. Well, oh.
Yeah, I can send you a
whoa.
photo
What?
of them all hanging out together. Yeah, no.
Oh, don't send that to me.
You know what? Fuck it. We'll leave it in the description.
I'm gonna go on,
You
like,
want to see? You want to see?
Nico, Amber Rose,
Sneeko
and Eric
and
Adams.
Eric
Except
Adams.
E621
Yeah.
also.
Also,
Gross.
I will say, when I was looking into Amber Rose, because I knew she was like bad or whatever, but I didn't know why. I did find out that she started stripping professionally at 15, which I think we have to have a real conversation about our
Not on this
society.
podcast.
Mhm.
Like, no,
Not today.
let's
We're
split-
not.
Yeah, but holy shit, what's happening?
Esotechnica, the podcast where nobody really knows what's happening. Everything is unprecedented and unusual. But hey, we seek to bring the human horrors beyond our comprehension just a little bit with it, within the
wait.
realm of.
Sorry, I did a little misinformation. Sorry, he wasn't hanging out with them. He went on Sneeko's kick stream.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
Oh.
I'm logging off. Everyone plug their socials.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm Kel Thickness on Twitch. Go check it out. It's a stream.
I'm Jelly Like Jam on YouTube and Twitch, and I just released a Haiti documentary a week ago. Watch it. It is probably the most comprehensive piece you will find on the region. And I also just realized this is a Easter egg for anybody who watches this before I drop the next video. But I also just realized that my favorite part of the video, the section on grassroots resistance to gang movement, I just wrote it, edited, recorded it, edited it, had it all looking nice and pretty, just forgot to put it into final render. And so, yeah, now that's just going to be a companion video. So expect that soon. And also a full director's cut on Patreon. A gang shit. What's up, Jay?
Do we have a
What do you
Patreon?
got for us? Oh, I have my own Patreon.
Oh. Hi.
Shout out your Patreon.
I don't know. I'm Jay. As I've said multiple times, don't have really anything to plug. Sexonomy is a blog that will exist at some point. The essay that will exist on it, that is in the works, is about sex under fascism and why you should do it anyway. Sometimes you can find me
W.
creeping in Celtic streams now because I found out that you're actually funny. Uh,
Our multiple
5 episodes
conversations
in.
didn't do that.
5 episodes in, and I can watch you while I eat my lunch. So that's thumbs up.
That's the dream.
I'll lurk on the
That's the
comments
dream.
of just this video. I don't look at anything else on our YouTube. For those recommendations I requested, thank you.
There you go.
All right, so yeah, if you want a call to action, drop an AO3 link for Jay.
Yeah,
Outrageous.
All right. So I think that's a podcast.
I think I don't know.
Good night,
I'm
everybody.
gonna stop recording
done.
then. How do I stop again? What button do I press? Is it this one?